Welcome, nerds at home and abroad, to another episode of the Fake Nerd Podcast, episode 257, in fact, which may or may not be one of our most hotly anticipated, as we dive into the 2020 sequel to the 2004 blockbuster hit Venom. Indeed, I have somehow ended up being the introducer once again for this hardy venture of Brock's fortunes, and though my bros offered, I did not take a mulligan. But before we dig through the carnage of the film's premiere, allow me to introduce the infectiously handsome trio attached to my right. It's, of course, Ryan Eliopoulos.
Oh, it's so good.
Sometimes Ben Magnet.
What do you mean sometimes?
And always Brandon T. McClure.
Ooh.
They'll join me in distributing whatever venomous barbs this film may have earned, and then we'll see if our book club of Halloween Tales was enough to give us a shriek. But before all that, dear listener, allow us to fulfill the symbiotic relationship of pleasant content from giver to receiver that gives us all a big old grin. I'm Sparks Witty, and it's time for me to ask, who's your favorite fat bear?
Otis. It's Otis. Otis is going to take the cake. I'm just letting y'all
Okay,
know.
what the hell was the deal with the fat bear thing?
It's easy. You pick the...
No, I did.
Yeah.
I picked a bear, but then I'm like...
Ben, you're overthinking it. Who's the best fat bear? That's all it is. Why are you overthinking it?
Who is your best fat bear? It's definitely Otis.
It's Otis. Come on.
It's 100%
Hello,
Otis.
Astra the cat. Welcome to the
Okay.
podcast.
Oh,
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
She's just so interested in the conversation. It's okay.
There she goes.
Goodbye.
That's what we get on these live shows, guys.
We good?
Cats, we're
Cats.
fine. Yeah, Otis is winning, right?
I
haven't
think
looked
so.
since
I'm checking
since
right
I clicked enter. I haven't looked.
We have a live update
yes.
on the bears. Can you just say the website real quick? What's it
Yes.
called?
Okay. So it's explore.org/fat-bear-week.
Yep.
You can go vote till October 5th. They are
Very
figuring
easy.
out the fat bear in the national park. No,
Listen,
no, it's not Otis.
Otis didn't win.
No.
It's okay.
Wait. Oh no, they're just separating them.
Okay, we'll find out next week on the hot.
Yeah,
the
we'll
hot
check
bear
out. We'll
talk.
check out next week.
I think what Ben was trying to say was,
Oh yeah, Otis won hard today.
I think what
He's the king.
Ben was trying to get at us is, how did you find this?
Okay, so I listened to a podcast called What a Day, and they were talking about go vote for your fat bear.
Uh,
And I was listening to that this morning, and I'm like, that sounds like a really nice thing. And
It's
I went
nice.
and looked at it, and I'm like, I want us all to do this because I have no idea how tonight's gonna go, and I just want us all to have something nice to talk about.
Yeah.
got it.
So, fat bears.
Yeah.
So yeah, fat bears. So this is where in Alaska? Katmai National Park in Alaska, and they're creating a competition about voting for who's doing the best at getting ready for hibernation, and it's definitely Otis.
And you're
It's
just
definitely Otis. So they show
Okay.
like before and currently pictures, and it's definitely
Here's
Otis.
the thing. Otis is special because he's one of the few that actually has a name. Like all of them have 512,
They
408,
should
but
all
no,
have names.
he's Otis. And I'm like, oh shit, Otis got personality.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because
I-
a lot of them, because a lot of these times when they tag these animals, it's just like a regular number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Otis spoke to the tagger and he's like,
Oh.
my name's Otis. And he's like, you got it, man.
I was so happy when you posted that. I'm like, Otis is definitely my favorite fat
Hell
bear.
yeah.
Who's your favorite fat bear?
I have to
cute.
vote. It's Otis.
Okay, great.
It's very
Ben.
cute.
I guess I did vote for Otis because
It's okay.
I didn't see the name. I was just looking at these two fat bears. I'm like, I guess that one's chunky enough, so I voted for the other one.
That's good
I
enough
voted for
me.
the two bears
They
that I
were-
thought were the chunkiest of bears, and I'm like, I guess these are fat bears. And then after I voted, it's like, hey, the one that I voted for wasn't winning.
I will say on one of the other votes, I definitely lost. And I'm like, clearly this bear is chunkier than the other one. This is clearly a rigged
I
Alaskan
think this is the
bear
first
vote.
time Chunky has shown up on this podcast.
It's a good word. It's a good
I'm
word.
so happy to bring Chonky to the cast.
Yeah,
The Choncast.
we did it.
That intro was full of puns.
Yes, it
I
was.
hope you caught all
I
of
caught
them.
it was beautiful.
I caught a
I
lot
love
of
the
them.
effort.
I
Yeah.
caught a lot of them, and then a lot of them went over my head because I'm like, what the heck is going on?
It's all
here?
Venom.
My
the
favorite was getting to
shrieky,
squeeze Mulligan in because of the detective.
Patrick Mulligan, also known as Toxin in the comics.
Mm.
Bing bong. Sorry for
Mhm.
your spoilers in the
Mm.
setup.
Oh yeah. I meant to look that up.
Oh,
All right. You know what else is full of puns?
You?
Things
the
we-
the links in our description.
There we go.
Boy.
They're not. I just thought of that. We got 2 Fake Nerds watches in the description. We don't have a lot. Do it. Do it.
So you got to get close. There
Thank
it
you.
is, There it is.
We got 2 Fake
Good
Nerds
mics.
watches in the
Bad.
description. One for Star Trek Lower Decks, episodes 6 and 7. That's just
Not 5 and 6.
not 5 and 6.
Brandon says 5 and 6 at the beginning of the episode, but it's actually for 6 and 7.
Corrected.
Oops.
He says the correct episode titles though.
Well, I should have actually. Man, I'm really excited to watch this, to talk about this week's Lower Decks.
It's funny to me that both you and Michael Carls didn't catch it.
I've lost track.
Yeah, I get it.
Great show though. I'm really enjoying talking to Michael. and Cookie when he's able to be on. I'm doing that. If you don't know, I'm doing that with Downright Nerdy's Michael Carls and Just a Little Podcast Cookie. We talked about the last 2 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. Really great episodes, a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the show, so check it out. We also, the 4 of us, got together and talked about what if.
We did?
What if Thor was a lonely child? Only child.
I mean,
He's the owner of a lonely heart.
So we talked about that. That is in the description as well. So check that out.
that's true.
Yep.
Check out our next what if later.
Next week after the finale.
And then, guys, big news.
Big time.
Basement Arcade is back.
Hell yeah, it is.
A show has returned from the dead, and what better time to return from the dead than October when we get to scare Ben? We have not seen
I
these.
mean, we did put out a Basement Arcade like a little over a month ago.
Yeah,
Phasmophobia.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
But this one.
but this
special,
is like we're like
I'll tell you what,
rolling
Spooktober is
them out.
back. For
Spooktober
real.
is back.
Spooktober
We're-
is definitely back.
we are rolling them out now. We've recorded many, so many are coming. This first one is of Crawl.
Mm-hmm.
Not a spooky game to Ben yet. That's still on the horizon.
It's not
Just
scaring
spooky
Ben,
vibes.
but the atmosphere is
Good
the
vibes.
spooky vibes.
The
Yeah,
skeletons
it was
go.
You got like a bunch of like 8
Ghosts
bit,
and
I
goblins.
want to say like 8-bit style or
Yeah.
maybe even 6-bit characters running around. They kind of look like Atari
Three.
guys
Yeah,
a little bit.
I would say 7-bit actually.
Yeah, I
All
was
right,
going
yeah,
like that.
7-bit. Like little 7-bit guys running
Really,
around.
you're just gonna roll with that?
Yes, I'm gonna roll with that. I know what you're trying to go for.
It's a fun multiplayer dungeon thing. Check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Shout outs to Jeremy Vellucci because I reached out to him and he made new music for our video gamey Halloweeny intro
Check
and
it out.
our new
Yeah.
outro.
It's great.
And you should listen to. Marty's name is Adonizadek.
Adonis the deck.
Sure, because he says Crawl was great. And he's
Awesome.
not talking about the movie, which is really good. He's talking about the video we put out of the video game.
Thank you, Marty. You
We are
beautiful
not
man.
alligators in a basement.
I bet
don't
Marty
know.
would like playing that game.
That game,
Yeah.
I think that game's a lot of fun.
He says, by the way, loved the "Don't be a dick" at the end.
Yes.
Yes, because it's a Halloween one. But those are the 3 links in the description, so you can check those out. And that's it.
Oh,
All right.
For now.
Who wants to go first their week?
I'll go.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
Not a whole lot done, but the things I did do, I'm proud of myself because one, I'm getting in.
I love
I'm
it.
further into Dune.
All right.
Not super far.
What
'cause,
chapter?
It was right after. Crap. I want to say chapter 4.
Oh, okay.
Shut up.
No, I expected. I'm sorry. I expected.
It
more.
is further than where he was.
It's true.
Actually, no, not chapter 4. 6.
That's cool.
2 more.
Right
The
on.
thing about Dune for me, because I'm also in the middle of reading Dune, I try to do like a chapter or 2 a day, especially at work. But the problem is some chapters are like 8 minutes, and then some chapters are like an hour and a half. So
which in the page form is like there are chapters that are like 5 pages and there are chapters that are like 30.
100%.
Like the last chapter I got to was with Dr. Yo. Yeah.
Yui?
Yui.
Yui.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that dude. What
It's
a
Dr.
jerk.
Yui talking with Paul for the first time.
I love it. I love that.
So
stuff.
that's
gosh,
where
I
that's
love
where I'm
Dune.
at. And since we're not recording the show tomorrow I'm like after I get all my
Man, that
chores
was a
done.
year ago for me.
So once I'm actually
Kind of the disadvantage of starting ahead of time.
Yeah.
Huh?
so tomorrow is my day of reading.
Your
my
Dune
day.
day.
Of reading my
Dune's
comics
day.
and day of reading my Dune. It's like
Dune's
3 hours of Dune, an hour of comics, and then more time.
So
of
listen,
Dune.
guys, since we're gonna be on this Dune train, if we're doing the book, I'm gonna ask you guys, would you be willing? Because I already did it for Downright Annoyed. Would you guys be willing to watch David Lynch's Dune?
Yes. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like
Yeah.
I watched like trailer thing where they're like, here's the new trailer and the
The Dune
original
trailer?
film, and they're like cutting
Yeah.
the original film to match more or less what the new trailer is. And I'm like, yo, I kind of want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
So part of me
Just a
really,
side thing, yeah.
so I kind of actually do want to watch the original Dune. I haven't seen you guys know I haven't seen it, but I actually saw that Screen Junkies put up the honest trailer of it.
Mhm.
I haven't watched it yet because part of
Yeah,
me is
don't
like,
spoil it.
yeah, because part of me is like, I really want to watch this original, and just so I can. Part of me wants to compare and contrast it.
It's really easy because it's on HBO Max, which is a service that we all have.
Word.
I would love to. I don't know if I could watch it before the new one comes out though.
I will say, like, I don't feel like it has to be part of like us talking about the book or
No.
us talking about the new movie, but I would love to do a discussion about it, honestly, kind of almost after the new one's out.
Yeah.
And like
Okay.
retroactively go, yeah, what was that one?
If after the new one, yeah, I could probably do that easy. So
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But a little bit of sizzle there. We're all reading Dune because we're going to be doing a Fake Nerd Book Club special about the novel.
Spoilers, Dune was in my week.
Yeah, Dune was in my week too. I do remember because you brought up. I want to tell a little quick story about reading Dune because I also try to do like a chapter a day. A chapter a day that keeps the doctor away. And I was And I've got to a point where it's like a five-page chapter. I was like, I can read another one. I'm not tired. How long is this? Nope.
No, that's the same thing. Yeah, like
Definitely not.
It's like nope.
Because
Is
I was
it-
like, maybe tomorrow.
Because the thing is like it's the chapter changes when he changes
characters and
orientation, not necessarily always characters, because like your character, like you can hear the voices of multiple characters at a time, but like the location,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
focused location of what's happening.
It's like it's a scene change.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is true. Yeah, because like sometimes like entire chapters are just people talking, and then it's a scene change. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been reading Dune, and the other thing I've been preparing myself for is I can finally say I have played and beaten all 4 original 2D Metroids. I am
Yay.
now ready for Metroid Dread, which comes out in 5 days.
That's exciting.
Ben is one notch lower, a fake nerd, one step closer to being real.
A
Real nerd.
A real
I realize
boy.
that should have been the concept of the show the entire time. We should just constantly be trying to make ourselves real nerds,
Oh,
wow.
clean up our fake nerd cards.
Man, we're 5
Oh,
years
okay.
late.
5 years late.
Way
on
too
that
late.
concept.
Way too late for that concept.
Because honestly, I've done a lot of things that I've
No, right?
missed.
Like you just start checking off things
Yeah.
as you go, and
It's
like,
like, I
if
have
I
done
built
all right,
this
all right, guys,
Yeah.
reboot next week.
No.
Episode 1.
reboot.
We're
No.
coming back.
Can we not?
I'm
Can we
chill.
not? So yeah, I've beaten Metroid Fusion, which is the Game Boy Advance Metroid 4, the last one that came out 19 years ago in 2002.
Wow.
It is my favorite Metroid.
Nice.
It is
Good.
not the best one.
Oh.
The best one by far is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo.
Mhm.
Amazing game. And as I'm playing these games, they're awesome. I absolutely love them. And I love each one in his own way. I played Zero Mission, which is a remake for the Game Boy Advance. Samus Returns on the 3DS, which is amazing. Of course, Super Metroid is like a pinnacle of the Super Nintendo. Every time you talk to someone about the Super Nintendo, like today, I also recorded Base Arcade Pause Menu with my guest Ron the Pharaoh. Hey, Ron. And we went on about Super Metroid for a good 20 to 30 minutes. It's that good of a game.
Nice.
And Metroid Fusion, which of course was the last one, which I got stuck on as a kid, gave it away, and now I have it again. I beat it. I absolutely love it, and I just cannot wait for Dread.
So
Soon.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Dread sequel either.
Soon.
Anyway, okay, real quickly, Marty is in the chat a lot.
Jesus,
Um,
Marty.
So
Thanks-
Marty,
Thanks, Marty.
gonna
he's
pull,
engaged.
gonna pull out some quotes here. Marty says, "How long is the audiobook for Dune? Like 15 hours?
20 hours.
20 hours? There
Yep.
you go." He really wants us to reboot next week. He just says, "Do it."
No.
You know, Marty,
No.
honestly, if I didn't have enough going on, I would
Marty
think
loves
about
chaos.
it. But
And
like,
then
no.
he said, "Reboot, reboot, reboot,
No.
reboot."
Listen, if you want to talk about like the 2000 shows reboot, like I also won't do that.
Yeah, we won't do either of those. But
Sorry.
Marty is a fun guy to have. I just wanted to highlight those.
He's also a
chats.
fun guy. He's not a mushroom.
Oh Lord.
I-
Oh,
Get
Get out.
I live here.
my free guy Blu-ray's coming.
So,
Ooh.
Ben, I know you said that you love all the Metroid games
Mhm.
differently. Who's your favorite child, though?
I told you my favorite Metroid game is Fusion.
Fusion.
Okay.
Ha!
Why are you staring at me like that?
No,
No.
I'm just processing.
Okay. So besides finally playing Metroid and finishing Metroid, also just played a little bit once again more comfort games. Pretty much like 1 or 2 levels of Super Mario 3D Land.
Mhm.
Solid title, absolutely love it. And reading Dune. So that's pretty much all the media I consumed this week, and also watching What If. But we're going to talk about that later.
From the Diaries of Princess Irulan.
Yeah. Who else wants to?
I'll go.
Do it.
I watched 1983's The Keep, directed by Michael Mann. That is Michael Mann's only horror movie.
Can't imagine why.
It's only you would know because you
I'm a
keep,
real
you keep
one.
up with the good shit.
Mhm.
Waypoint is a podcast that I really like. Soda Sparks. They have a new series talk about Michael Mann movies, and this is one of his that I haven't seen. Mostly because I heard it wasn't very good. But I watched it and I quite like it. I can't say it's a great movie. Michael Mann certainly hates it. Like he's trying to like get that thing destroyed. He hates it. But like it's a guy who doesn't make horror movies making a horror movie. So you get to see all the cool things that don't usually happen in horror movies, plus all like the weird schlock that was happening in the 80s. I think it's really cool, and especially like watching Malignant and then watching Venom and also watching Keep all in the same room. It's like, oh man, like I love schlock. Like when it's good, I really like it. It's got Ian McKellen in his first big movie. He plays a Holocaust survivor who has to like figure out the mysteries of the Keep. The Keep's about Nazis taking over this place that's the Keep, and it's got mysteries in it. Imagine the beginning of Captain America, but that's where the whole movie takes place, is in that place where the Tesseract was. Really cool. Again, like I don't think it's really great, but I think it does a lot of unique things. That's the big thing that I did this week in terms of entertainment. I played Avengers. I played like a round of Fortnite. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I think the gameplay of Fortnite this season's great. I can care less about the battle pass. I don't care about any of those characters. I'm gonna be honest. Carnage is like is a level 100. He looks cool. I don't care about unlocking Carnage. So like the want to play is not as high as it was for the previous seasons.
For sure.
But the gameplay is there. Like I think all the alien shit's really cool. But like I just don't care about unlocking anything.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how much like Fortnite is able to like really change up what's going on. So there's all these new elements to incorporate and play with. And like I was just playing the other day where I was like, man, I still just really miss the bow and arrow though.
I for real. That's still probably my favorite weapon.
You were sniping fools left and right with that bow and
it
arrow.
was beautiful.
Yeah, man. Bows and games. I love them.
You know what? Guess who agrees with you?
Is it
Marty.
Marty?
Marty says same. The battle pass is weak.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But at least the gameplay's great.
I mean, I've been jonesing to play Fortnite, but at the same time, I kind of haven't been.
Just because, like, you know, you're unlocking like I'm not unlocking like Marvel or DC characters, but even like the original characters is like it's like a chimpanzee or it's like a horseman. I'm like, I just don't care.
Yeah, like the last time I unlocked a big character was Rick from last season, but even then I wouldn't really play as Rick. I just play as that Megazord, giant Fortnite Megazord thing.
So yeah, I'm playing some of that. I finished. I've caught up on a couple X books
since Marty's here.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that when I played with Marty and his daughter, my niece Millie. Love her. Playing with her is chaos.
That's great.
Oh, so
she just drove a car away from us at one point, like just took off, and
You're
we were
on
like,
your own.
oh, okay,
Later, losers.
So she does.
She got mad when she got in trouble. We're like, well,
What do you expect?
what happened?
So she takes after her father then.
Yeah.
Was it Marty or
It's a
Travis?
different kind of chaos.
Was it Marty or Travis when we were playing that?
That's Travis.
No, okay, because when the first time we were playing, he was on a boat and he was on the dry
God.
land.
Travis is also chaos.
We're not getting another Travis, are we?
At this rate, that'd be great.
I
Yeah.
can only handle one of them.
What else? Oh yeah, so I'm catching up on the Xbox. I read all of Cable. I was like 4 issues behind on Cable, but yeah, man, that's a really great series. Cable is a character who's extremely complicated with his history. You know, he's the son of Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey, but he was sent to the future because he got the techno-organic virus. So he's a character from the future, but he keeps coming back to the past to save the X-Men, and it's super convoluted, kind of like Kang, but a hero. And this Cable book kind of just makes it a little bit easier. It's like, hey, like we're in a constant loop. Like me and Strife, who is my evil clone, we're just in a constant loop of going back in time to fix each other's problems, to kill each other, and blah blah blah. And it's just like they kind of made it a little easier to take it all in, digest. Thank you. Yeah. And it's just Phil Noto art looking great, and just like that book's so much fun. And I am sad it's over. But now like looking back, like I read that Cable Reloaded Al Ewing book for Last Annihilation. It's Old Man Cable, and I'm like, oh yeah, Old Man Cable rules too. Cable's always been cool. And I'm just like, oh man, like, and it made me go back and read a bunch of X books because I'm still in the process of reading a bunch of Chris Claremont's X-Men. The dude wrote X-Men for 17 years by himself. Like, I still can't. It's unfathomable to think that one person has such an impact on an idea. Like one person does not define Batman. One person doesn't define Spider-Man. One person does define X-Men. And it is Chris Claremont. Everything you think you like about X-Men, it's because of Chris Claremont.
Right.
And it's just so impressive to be like, oh my God, like all this stuff that I love, it's like, it happened here. And like, everyone's just trying to replicate it. And it's like, just no one's as good, man. And just, there's a reason that dude was on a book for almost 20 years.
I mean, isn't that why Grant Morrison, when he came on the X-Men, he was like, we should be doing something new.
100%. He did something radically different. And he's like, I am like, thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, their whole thing was like, we want to be the antithesis of the Claremont run. We want to do something very different, and they did. And it's especially his stuff with Emma. Like, oh God, I love Emma Frost so much. Yeah, so Chris Claremont's dope. I'm reading like 30 issues of X-Men every week. I'm still only in 1981, and he leaves in like the 90s. So like, I'll be done in like 5 years or whatever.
Good luck,
bro. And also, he wrote like Excalibur and New Mutants. Like that dude's like he's written thousands of X-Men comics.
And you've got thousands, really.
You are now also getting one step closer to that real nerd.
Yeah.
Well
you're gonna be that guy. I was like, well, have you read all X-Men? Have you? I have actually.
And still,
here's my proof.
There's still just so much. Because also like I'm reading like Uncanny X-Men, but then like you get to relaunch into just regular X-Men, and it's like, oh, that's another hundreds of issues. Anyway, I read some of that. I read some Spider-Man. I've been reading some Spider-Man because I was gonna read some Venom because I've read a lot of Spider-Man, but I haven't read a lot of symbiote stuff because I just honestly up until until Donny Cates was writing Venom
Sure.
or Rick Remender was writing Flash Thompson Venom, which is really cool. I just didn't really give a shit about Venom because it was like angsty 90s stuff. But now, like
unless it was Flash.
unless it was Flash, but again, that's like it's a very different
Sure,
type of
it's
Venom
a different thing.
Yeah. So being older, liking more schlocky stuff, I went back and I read Maximum Carnage, which is literally this entire movie we just watched. It's just Maximum Carnage, but replace Spider-Man with Venom. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is so fun. Carnage is super stupid, and his whole thing is just, I'm a bad guy, guys. Guess what? But like when it's done well, again, like when schlock is done really well, like it's great. And Maximum Carnage is so fun, and Shriek is so fun. And I'm like, oh, like definitely not to the Ghost Rider level, but like I can see myself diving into all the symbiote stuff because I know like it has a huge fan base.
Sure.
And this I've been reading a lot of comics, guys. I love comics. Comics are back. They've welcome back, Ryan.
You mentioned Cable. I finished Cable also.
Ooh, what a coinkydink.
And one of my favorite lines from Cable early in the run is I wanted to bring up was when he's differentiating himself from Old Man Cable because he likes the guns and he's like, I've actually always preferred swords.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that like I'm different than the old guy because I like swords, and it's just fun stuff.
And not to spoil, because I know you guys haven't finished the book, but like Old Man Cable's back, and so like it's kind of hard not to spoil. That's the things that this book's been done for a while now. But like Old Man Cable's back, and maybe Young Cable's not here anymore. But like to see the arc of I don't want to be that person to realizing, oh, I am that person. I have to accept it. Really great stuff. Really great stuff. Like that kind of destiny shit. Like, oh, I want to fight my destiny, and then like you accept it.
Sure.
Really good stuff. Like really makes me appreciate that character way more than I used to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I did more with you, and I don't remember any of it.
There's something else you're not mentioning,
Probably.
and I'll bring it up because we both watched some anime this week, but we didn't watch the same anime.
Oh my god. I'm so literally I spent my entire week doing the thing I wasn't even going to talk about. That's so funny. I've watched half of Demon Slayer.
You watched Demon Slayer?
I watched like 4 episodes every day. Yeah. I'm up to like episode like 15 or 16. It happened because my coworker was like, "Hey Ryan, I'm throwing a Demon Slayer costume party. Have you seen Demon Slayer?" I'm like, "No, give me a week." So I'm halfway done. I love that show, guys. Like, man, that anime rips so hard.
Yes, it does.
It is such an easy anime to get into, and every episode's like it's a monster of the week thing, but every episode dives into the bigger narrative. Especially after watching Vampire Hunter D, like the inspirations are like so from Vampire Hunter D in the show. I love it. It's about demon hunting. It's very much like X-Men. Like they all have weird, crazy mutant powers. There's a dude who's a demon, and he has a bunch of bongos on his body, and he bangs the bongos, and he makes the room turn like Inception.
Oh,
It's wicked wild. I love it. I cannot wait to finish it, then watch that movie. Ooh.
that guy was because when you first meet this demon, because this demon has also a pretty.
He has the same backstory as Copperhead from Luke Cage. What's the character's name? Yeah, he's a failed musician whose dad didn't love him, and now he's a demon who's a great musician.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is like, "Wow, I respect you, demon. I'm sorry I have to kill you." And he's like, "Thank you for respecting me. I'll die now."
He has
so
such a
good.
he has such just wait, it gets worse.
I'm so happy.
And he has such a tragic backstory, and a bunch of the demons that you're gonna meet have tragic
It's so
backstories,
good.
and you're just like, I mean, the demons do bad shit.
Of course, they're bad boys.
You met the demon. Yeah, you have met the demon doctor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like the one good
She's
one
so
that
cool.
everyone loves because it's like, oh, thank God she's cool.
Mhm.
But then you get like the bongo guy. I'm
Yeah.
only talking about up to where you are because I
Okay.
was gonna ask where you are.
Yeah.
And just everything about the show is so freaking good. It's so beautifully drawn.
Yeah, the action's like one of the best looking animes. Like I don't watch a lot of anime.
It's so gorgeous.
But like definitely like I could see why this one is like one of the most popular ones around.
Ryan,
right
I am so happy you're watching Demon Slayer, and just you wait, the fights are gonna get a lot better.
dude, it's like like the breathing and like water slaying, and like there's a dude who has like a thunder blade. I'm like, what?
He's only useful when he's unconscious.
Yeah, he's lame though.
Zenitsu sucks.
He sucks.
He totally sucks.
It's gonna be like your redemption. He's gonna end up being cool or something. This is what anime does.
I don't care. Zenitsu sucks.
So I read this, so you guys have to.
Okay.
Marty says, stopped watching cable a while ago, mainly stream shows.
Yes. So one of the great
Zing,
jokes.
zing,
One of the
zing.
great jokes that Strife, who is a Cable's Eva clone, he always calls Cable. He calls him Basic Cable.
That's a good one.
Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Which is I also watched some anime this week.
Demon
but
Slayer.
I started before Ryan started watching Demon Slayer, and if I'd known that was going to happen, I would have been like, "Well, I'll go through Demon Slayer right now too." Instead, I took a different path. I've started Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah.
The original?
Yeah.
The original.
Here it goes. This is
So
a good week for Ben.
So I'm watching Mobile Suit Gundam.
Hold up. Time out real quick. So really quick. So earlier today, I recorded Basement Arcade Pause Menu. The first 10 minutes is because Ron, my guest on the show, he showed me a gun plot he's making, and for the good few minutes, we just talked about Gundam. So yes, this is a good week for me, Brandon. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm watching Mobile Suit Gundam now. That's pretty good. It actually holds up surprisingly well. I'll admit that part of that I think is helped by really good sound design that it has, because it's like the 2017 Funimation dub that I'm watching. Because from my understanding, they're like, honestly, like the original dub was trash, but you could watch the Funimation dub and it's actually pretty good. And they were like, do that or do subtitles. And I'm like, well, I'll try the dub and see how that goes. And I actually really like a lot of the voices for the most part. I think they fit really well. So the sound, all the sound sounds really good. All the sound effects are like pretty much the more modern version of those same sound effects. So they sound really crisp and clean. So only the music, it really sounds of its time. And then of course the animation looks of its time, but like it holds up really, really well. The shows, I didn't expect that the show, just like the first chunk of episodes are all about like them just like cat and mousing through a big conflict.
It's pretty much it's just like you get the white base, you get the attack on side 7, and then the white base gets out, and then Amuro is in the Gundam and he takes out that Zaku.
You watched this show.
I watched so the parts of Mobile Suit Gundam I have seen. I've watched the first 5 episodes. Like I had 2 DVDs of it, but it was like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, like they were spread out.
Gotcha.
So I had volume 1 and volume 3. So it was so where my first DVD ended is when the white base goes to Earth, and then the second and the third DVD I had was right after the Battle of New York, where one of the Zabi family members dies.
Not there yet.
You're not there yet? Okay.
But it's solid, good content. I really like good space tactics, and in like the 3rd episode is the main character Amuro being like, no, we need to attack them from this side because they'll be blinded by the sun. And I'm like, wow, this is incredibly smart. I'm also really glad that I'm listening to the podcast The Great Gundam Project as I go through it, because they've watched that show and they take it on 2 episodes at a time. And it was really nice because in the first episode they kind of contextualize something that the show doesn't, which is where they are in space, because it's kind of not well explained. And it's like, oh, they're literally like right next to Earth, and like the concept of like where they're fighting at and why is like better explained through that podcast than it is through the show at this moment in time.
Yeah, because really once you start into Mobile Suit Gundam, you get the narration of like
Princess Elion.
No.
Oh, okay.
Like the Principality of Zeon is from this colonies, which are first from
right.
the
They
Earth.
explain that, but they don't spatially explain to you where that is in relation to Earth very well.
Yeah,
like it's just space. And then they were like, no, it's like right here. And I'm like, oh, it's like right there.
Yeah. So the reason why I know like where the sides are, where the colonies are, is because of the multiple Gundam games I played. They have the map of where things are.
For sure.
So like you have like the bunch of sides which are closer to the moon or in the moon's orbit, and then side 3 is like way the F out there.
Question: When the moon turned into the spaceship in Gurren Lagann, what was the Gurren Lagann version called? Was
I don't remember.
Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann?
Originally it was Cathedral Terra.
I don't
That's what
remember
the ship was. That was what the ship was called, and then they called it something else. I forget what it was.
I thought it was Tengen Toppa. I was trying to remember which one that was. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so I'm doing that, and I was like, I kind of don't want to just drop that because I just started to watch Demon Slayer, so I'm probably going to go all the way through Mobile Suit Gundam, and then maybe I'll pick up Demon Slayer. No, just because you were there, and I'm like, I'd love to be in this moment with you and do this, and I'm like, I started Gundam, though, and I've been waiting, like, to biding my time, and I'm like, I really want to dive in. I've been waiting, and I'm like, I'm going to dive into Mobile Suit Gundam. I'm at least going to go through those 43 episodes and get that done.
Do you have the Blu-rays, or are you watching it on the Funimation?
I'm watching it on Funimation.
Okay. Funimation. Cool.
Yep. Okay, anyway, other than that, some things, we played Crawl. Obviously, you can go watch us play that. It's on our Basement Arcade. Red Dune, we talked about that. What If? We're going to talk about it later. I watched Supergirl. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Saver.
I'm not caught up or anything. I like watched 2 episodes since it's come back, and I have nothing. It's not negative. It's just it's there.
Yeah.
I have nothing extremely positive to say either. But I do have positive things to say about Doom Patrol because we watched the first episode of the new season.
Ooh.
Very cool. Really liked it. Missy from
Michelle
Doctor Who,
Gomez.
yes, is on the show now. Her introduction is really good.
She's also in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
That's true. And that was a good episode. I'm looking forward to watching more.
It
Doom
definitely
Patrol.
felt like the actual season finale of last season. in a way.
It felt like a Titans season 2 situation,
yeah.
but like I didn't. We also kind of knew that because we knew that there was a reason why
Yeah.
they like lost an episode.
Yeah,
And
it just
so we
feels
knew
like
that was going to happen.
it got pushed to this season.
Yeah,
because
so
it
it's,
didn't really
it's really the payoff of
all the
what
stuff that
was
happened.
at the end of the previous season.
Then I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm not there yet. So I have that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like it wasn't a problem. Like you would have been on a different kind of cliffhanger. It would have
Mhm.
been a cliffhanger either way.
Mhm.
Anyway, so did that. I also had the opportunity to watch Halloween 2018 because we were showing it to Megan's sister Katie. We watched that last night. The movie rips. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
it's a good one.
One of my favorites.
Here to report, still good.
I'm glad.
No, I really enjoyed it. I'm amped. I'm amped for the new one.
Soon.
Watched another episode of Only Murders in the Building that came out this week, and I just want to briefly say that I think everybody should be watching that show, especially if you guys want to watch an episode where there is no vocal dialogue except for a single line.
Wow.
Make of that what you will.
Did you see
It's
the
all
solid
farts.
episode.
Did I already bring up on the show the tweet where it was just like Steve Martin has easily slid into the role left by Woody Allen, and he's just like, you just got banjoed, bitch.
That's funny. Man, that is funny. So highly recommend that show. Still good. Very excited. I now know because I've started listening to the podcast associated with it that they're in season 2, so there's going to be another season of that show, which is great.
Ooh.
And the last thing I'll bring up, because I'm sure Brand's going to piggyback off this, is I watched Skyfall. Man, guys, they just don't make them like that.
No, they really don't.
Adele. The zine.
Like it's easy to get caught up in the hyperbole of saying like, well, Skyfall's the best. It really is the best. Like it's quintessential. Like what makes Bond good? This.
Yes.
This is what makes Bond specifically good. And it's doing Mission Impossible stuff, but with the style that Bond is
Yeah.
supposed to have, and that's what makes it so good. I also think that like honestly, the film's narrative is served better by having Bond be a secondary emotional main character to someone else, in this case M.
Mhm.
I think that
Mommy.
works better than a lot of the things they try and do to put him at the center in Daniel Craig's films.
Yeah, I also watched Skyfall, unless you want more to say.
It's a conversation.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also watched Skyfall. I also watched Spectre, but I'll talk about that separately.
I haven't done that yet.
And Skyfall is just, I remember watching, it was made for the 50th anniversary. I remember watching the movie in theaters and I go, that was something special.
It's very wild to go from having watched the 2 right before and like the way that film was conceptualized, the shots, the lighting, the ideas of the locations, what Bond does is so specifically. I think this is the quintessential like representation of like he's doing Mission Impossible stuff, the things that have made the Mission Impossible movies good, but he's doing it the Bond way,
Yeah.
and it's working. Is when he pulls the bulldozer thing over and he rips it open and then climbs up it and jumps in. But the moment he jumps in, he adjusts his suit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what Bond should be when he's working best now.
Yes.
And most of the time it's not that.
Yeah.
But for that movie, it hits, and it hits every time. There's still shitty things about the way women are handled, but it's definitely way, way less in Skyfall than it is anywhere else.
The benefit that Skyfall has is making Judi Dench really the main female lead.
Agreed.
And I love Judi Dench. I've loved Judi Dench ever since GoldenEye. I think she's an incredible M. But the Craig films is where she shines.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere better than Skyfall. Like if they knew that she was going out with that movie and they needed to make it good.
And they did. And now Javier Bardem is just like, he also accentuates that, like, man, I love Mads Mikkelsen, but Mads Mikkelsen is wasted in Casino Royale
Mhm.
comparatively. Like,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yes.
like it's just like Casino Royale and then Quantum of Solace, like, bleh. Like you don't have a villain that's like really hitting it out of the park. And then like Spectre, we have Christoph Waltz, but like it's not like what Javier Bardem is bringing to the table. And
It's
like
not the same.
that helps anchor it too, because like you need Bond to be reacting to them, and Bond can't react to the villains in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace as well as he can to Javier Bardem.
I didn't rewatch the movie with you, but I came downstairs and it was like the big action scene. Where is it? Is it in Hong Kong? Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Hong Kong. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for the camera to cut, and it's just this long action scene. I'm like, cut it. You're still going. Cut this is too good. You got to stop. This is too good.
It's the benefit of that they had because the first two Craig films are obviously trying to be Bourne. And this one was going off Mission Impossible, but doing it the Bond way.
Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
Man.
And he's the guy who directed this. Like, he's like a big drama director. Like, he doesn't do action movies. And I'm like, man, like,
And that shows like the consideration of it. There's a like, even though I think the handling of women in general over the Daniel Craig Bond eras in general, but certainly the Daniel Craig one can be really mired in some stuff. And there's even with this specific character a not so great moment. There's still this moment where he grabs her and he's like, I know something's wrong. You're afraid, and I can help. Tell me what's up.
Who's the girl in Skyfall? Is it Taskmaster? Is it that girl, or is that a different movie? It's Olga. She has black hair. Is it in this one? Is it Inspector?
God, I'll look it up. Hold
Man,
on.
you guys just watch these movies.
Yeah, but I don't know.
No, but
I cannot recognize
the girl. The only so it's Moneypenny and it's the other girl.
Yeah, I know it's Naomi Harris.
Then it's got to be Inspector
because I don't remember. She was older, so Dan
I'm looking
Bautista's
it
Inspector though.
That's cool.
That was fun to remember.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he has no lines except for one. He has one line. Shit.
No, not her.
Huh.
Must have
yeah,
been. It's Inspector.
This is the main other girl that's not named.
No, the girl who is Taskmaster is in one of these movies. I was watching.
She's a French actress. I can't pronounce her first name, but she's really cool.
Yeah,
right on.
That one of my favorite. The things that I forgot about the Craig Bond films is how funny he is in the role. Daniel Craig is like his comedy wasn't really quite there to play with yet. We won't see that until much later in his career, but he was still willing to do more comedic scenes, and the Bond comedy kind of comes through really well with him. But there's this one bit that I really love. It's when he's fighting in the Komodo dragon pit, and he's just being carried off, and he just sees the Komodo dragon where the other guy doesn't. He just gives him a face like, "What's that? Why is that here?"
I would give the same face. No dragon.
He's just pointing. He's like,
this is just, and he's pointing at the guy. He's like, "You should turn around." And the guy gets bit by the Komodo dragon. Yeah, he's really funny in this movie.
He's much more comfortable with his dry humor in Skyfall here than he is anywhere else.
Yeah.
Of the four.
And Judi Dench, he plays off so well with Judi Dench. I can't speak enough about her portrayal of M just in general, and it still made me cry watching that moment where she dies.
Spoilers for Skyfall. Sorry.
No Time to Die is coming.
It's like almost 10 years old.
It's wild how long ago that movie came out. We're approaching the 60th anniversary of James Bond.
Wow.
Man.
Should have just pushed No Time to Die back another year.
One more push.
Yeah, right.
Do it.
You're not gonna have a movie out next
Even
year.
No, like the day before the movie comes out, just push it 6 more months.
They should.
They only needed to go 3 more months.
Yeah.
And then call it.
Yeah,
funny.
They would call it close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the bit where Judi Dench like makes the call to shoot Bond, and you can just see the kind of like the wrestling she's doing in her brain, like, okay, lose Bond or lose the drive, lose Bond, lose the drive, lose Bond, and you can see that kind of in that performance. Yes, and it's really handled. Also, we're introduced to Ralph Fiennes in that movie, and I think he's great.
I honestly, like, I was thinking of Spectre, and I was like, man, he's not very impressionable.
Oh yeah,
and then it'd been a while, and I went back to Skyfall. I'm like, oh no, he's like cool.
Moneypenny. Isn't Moneypenny in
yes,
Venom
Naomi
too,
Harris is in all of them.
Look at that reunion.
There's the bit where because we also get Q back in this movie, this time played by
Ben Whishaw.
And he and Mallory, which is Ralph Fiennes' character, walks in and is like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, nothing." And he's like, and he like kind of goes on board. He's like, "Okay, let's do this. Let's beat this guy."
It's the strong return to form, and honestly, like, regardless of how No Time to Die turns out, we'll find out next week. I don't think you can do modern Bond better than Skyfall, so I question if it's even worth trying at this point.
Yeah,
honestly, like, that's kind of where I'm sitting. I just, having seen Spectre, I'm like, I don't know that you can do it.
Because like Daniel Craig is doing like the press and stuff, so I've watched a bunch of interviews with him, and like he is very much like not the same type of person he was when he was last doing the movie.
Sure.
He's like, like I talked a lot of shit about the last movie, but like the thing that like made me believe in this new movie, he's like, it's a thing I always talk about. Like, I want to go out on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
Like that last movie, like I wasn't happy with it. Nobody was happy with it. So like, I really pushed, like, I want to do one more so I can end it on my own terms. And like, if he's happy with that movie, then like a lot of people seem to like it.
No, I respect that for sure. Like, I'm not, I think there's a good chance I'm going to enjoy No Time
Yeah.
to Die. I just don't think it's going to top Skyfall.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
that modern Bond can, and I don't know that it ever should try anymore.
Yeah.
So
Like I think Skyfall. Honestly, I think you peaked. I think
so,
James
too.
Bond peaked.
I think so too, especially modern Bond.
Yeah.
We got Mission Impossible.
I
Sorry.
I have a strong suspicion about how No Time to Die ends that I won't mention, just in case I'm right.
Sure.
And I think
He's an alien.
and I'm just wondering like how we go forward in modern Bond. I've said before
Next
I don't
week's
think we should.
discussion.
But I did wanted to note I've been tweeting a lot about James Bond because I'm actually writing a piece about James Bond for Atomic Geekdom, specifically the Craig Bond films. Just give it a little whatever. And I was looking at the Rotten Tomato scores for all the Craig Bond films, and it led me to the Rotten Tomato scores of all of them. Craig's Bond, the only Craig Bond era film that Craig era Bond film,
Yeah. Mhm.
that got close to beating a Sean Connery Bond score was Casino Royale.
That's crazy.
And I thought that was nuts. I was like, are you kidding me?
It's
Skyfall?
100% Skyfall.
What were we drinking?
It's not even a question. Yeah.
And also, like real quick, even if you don't think it's like the best James Bond movie, Skyfall is just like an insanely good movie.
It
Yeah.
is.
Like even without James Bond, that movie just rocks.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah. It's back to basics in a good way. If you're a person who's like going to go see No Time to Die, you don't really want to go through all the Craig Bond films.
Just watch Skyfall.
Just watch Skyfall. Like
It's so
I
good.
guess Spectre is like important for story purposes, but
Nah.
like just watch Skyfall. Like that's
Yeah.
just good
Read
shit.
the Wikipedia. You're fine.
Or if you go see No Time to Die and you're like, man, I need a good Craig Bond film, immediately turn to Skyfall. That's where you want to
Yes.
go.
It's wonderful. It's weird.
It's
I'll say.
quintessential.
The movie's great. It is weird, and we've talked about it in person, you and I, how connected the Craig Bond films are.
And Skyfall benefits by not being connected
Right.
at all.
But then Spectre retroactively connects it, and I'm like, you're nuts.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. Because there's some things that I think are happening in No Time to Die that have to do with that connection with the Bond films being so connected. So I wanted to go back through them all, which I have been doing. And I if we're done with Spectre,
I'm done with Skyfall. Yeah.
Skyfall,
ahead.
then I'll talk about I watched Spectre.
I will do that this coming week.
Yeah, I'm going out of town this coming week.
Ryan will too, because we're watching that one together, right? Spectre. You said you wanted to see it again because you don't remember it.
I mean, I know I drink a lot, but nah, I'm just kidding. I mean, like honestly, like I might just like so I have like a connection because I only saw that movie in theaters once, and I'm like,
I also only saw it once in theaters, as Ben likes to remind me. We went to see it in IMAX.
I think the key problem to me is every time I've seen the trailer for No Time to Die and he's talking to the girl who I know is important, I'm like,
Leia Seydoux,
Yeah.
and I'm like, because I even
I'm
asked
like,
you,
I don't-
was she in Skyfall? Because I straight up, she's in Spectre. I'm like,
You know who she is? Do you mind? Because it came out a couple of years ago. I know you're going to rewatch it, but you fell asleep through it, so you don't know a lot of these details.
damn,
so true.
you pulled a Venom.
It's so true.
Do you want me to say who Leia Seydoux is,
I mean,
or do you want to be
they're like
surprised?
together, right?
No, she's Mr. White's daughter. Jesus. Remember the Mr. White plot
Yes,
hole?
I
at the
remember, I
Quantum
remember.
Solace?
Enemies to lovers.
That made it into Spectre. They tied off Mr.
This
White.
root beer isn't hard enough.
And I watched Spectre, and I just want to say a couple of things about Spectre. One is I like the first 30 minutes. Honestly, I think it's a fun Bond movie with some good action sequences. The opening sequence is awesome. There's good humor.
I remember
and
that
then
part.
Yeah, there's good humor. And then I was like, oh man, I even up to the day Batista being introduced with Blofeld, I was like, oh, this is cool. Was I just wrong? And then it kept going, and it's 2 hours and 48 minutes.
Can I be honest
God,
with you?
I remember now why I fell asleep.
Can I be honest with you? They are like you know, I have a bad memory, but I also see a lot of movies. I think Spectre might be one of the most like I do not remember what happened in that movies. I honestly forgot Dave Bautista's in there. The only thing I remember about the movie, like Blofeld is like on the street at the end. He's like, we're doing this for everyone.
I'm gonna take that a step further, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I definitely thought I remembered a key sequence from it,
Yeah.
and then I remembered that was from Mission Impossible Fallout.
Maybe I will watch Spectre just so like I know what I'm talking about.
There's also some good ideas in it in the sense that Bond more than Quantum. It's kind of what Quantum of Solace again, but Quantum of Solace's benefit is that it's an hour 30.
It's almost double the length. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But it's Bond. He goes rogue again because this time Judi Dench told him, "Hey, when I die, go kill this guy and then go to their funeral," and to lead him to Blofeld. Essentially, I was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of neat that he's going. while M is dealing with the fact that the British intelligence thinks that the 00 program is obsolete, he is going rogue, kind of proving the British intelligence point as far as M is concerned. And I think that's all really interesting. It's just not played out in a way that engages with that. The plots are too far disconnected, and then they clash together towards the end.
Are the Craig era Bond films that hate MI6?
It feels like that,
Yeah.
having watched them all.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't, it's everyone though. I don't mind the idea of like, hey, maybe this program is obsolete, but it's every film they've done that same thing.
Yeah, I think to make it modern and completely different than the last, like how long? 40 years, 50 years? 5 generations. Like those movies are very pro the government, very pro. Like we work for these people, and there's nothing wrong with them. And I think for just this era, I think it is nice. We're like, hey, maybe the people that's like running the shots aren't so good. And like sometimes that's nice. And at the end of the day, they are still the good guys. He is still James Bond. So like it's still the same.
Right, but it's not necessarily they're not questioning the government. They're questioning the secret, and there's questioning Bond's
it's
boss.
like it's not questioning the government. It's just questioning like
the government agencies.
It's like just questioning X-Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
not questioning Krakoa. It's just going, hey, what about just questioning X-Force?
And even
that's not questioning it.
And right, I like that it's in there, but I don't like that it's in every single one. It gets tiring. It gets tiresome no matter how well it's used in certain spaces. But it's never like it's
in every one without nothing new being added to the conversation.
Maybe we don't use it's not like maybe we don't use the 007 program. Maybe we don't use the MI6 anymore. But it's maybe we replace them with drones, right? That's better, right? And that's not a criticism. That's just you being like, we don't want to spend money on people.
Yeah. I mean, that when we talk about drones, actually very commentative.
Right.
Right. But as Sparks said, it's always the same thing, but never with anything new added to the conversation.
Sure.
And it never resolves.
Right.
At the end of each movie, it's just Bond was right.
Yeah.
Not MI6 was right. Bond was right.
Yeah, he's the hero. Yeah.
But Spectre also has a good ending. I think the ending is solid.
It does?
I think specifically the ending action is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
I think that's cool and really personal, even though I think Blofeld being James Bond's brother is stupid.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta watch this movie.
Maybe I don't.
But there's some raw stuff happening with Daniel Craig that I think is really good, and I think the action sequences are fun with the music. It just kind of ends with my biggest issue with it is I don't buy the romance story, because they try to be like, oh, now he's over Vesper and he's going to be with Mr. White's daughter. He's going to retire, but they never put that seed in the movie that he wants to retire, and it just kind of crumbles. It's almost there. That's not almost Skyfall, but it is almost a movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite get there. It's so frustrating because it's like, you're the same people who did Skyfall. What happened?
It's the same director?
Same director, same writer.
Wow. Talk about difference.
Oops.
Yeah, it's quite literally one. It's baffling to me. Anyway, I watched that too.
The rest of your week?
The rest of my week, I finished Nailed It. I watched
cool.
season 6 of Nailed It.
Sure.
That show is hilarious. Offered me a lot of comfort in this week. June Diane Rayfield was one of the guest judges, and she's always fun to watch. Yeah, it's a really funny show. Jack McBrayer was on the show this season, and he was fun. There's moments where I was just cackling. It's just so hilarious. Still, after 6 seasons, I'm surprised.
Nice.
Oh, got to get the rest of my stuff. I finished Miles Morales.
Oh, nice.
I 100%ed the new game plus for Miles Morales.
Oh, sweet.
Pause menu discussion
soon on
For
the PlayStation 5.
1 year anniversary in November.
Yes.
I did the PlayStation 5 version this time around because I
Hell
played
yeah.
on the
Why didn't
PS4.
you just play the PS4 one again?
Because I have a PS5
Oh,
now.
I guess that makes sense.
And I was like, I can do this, and it's great. It's a really great game. The PS5 controller makes such a difference when playing that game. There's resistance when you like swing. It's awesome. I'm so into it. Cannot wait for that second game, because that game is going to feel really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of Visions. I watched the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Visions.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I was confused.
I forgot that came out, darn it.
I watched The Duel, which is the first one,
Uh-huh.
the black and white one.
Yep.
I watched The Twins, which rules.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Which rules so hard. I'm a sucker for Trigger. as you know, with my love of Gurren Lagann.
Mhm.
So cool. And I watched. I watched the daughter, the one with the planet with the daughter being taken off to the pirates of the droids.
I haven't seen that one. The other one
No,
I
it's
You
watched.
didn't just watch
before-
them in order?
Yes, I watched them in order.
Oh, okay.
So you also watched Tatooine Rhapsody, right?
Yeah, watch the one before that too.
That it's
Tatooine Rhapsody is the 4th episode.
no, Tatooine Rhapsody is the second one.
Okay, then I watched the 4th episode.
Okay. I haven't got to. the
How
third
are
one.
they?
Anyway, they're all really great. I really like that show. The Trigger episode, I thought I would like the Duel more because I really like the style of it. I did really like it. There's a lot of cool stuff. It's really just what I like about Star Wars and anime. Like what I like about Star Wars, put it in 15-minute chunks. What I like about anime, put it in 15-minute chunks. There you go. I'm happy.
Good.
I really like it. The Tatooine Rhapsody one is also really good and has a really fun version of Boba Fett. And
At some
Hutts.
point, we'll all have watched them, and we'll talk about
One
it.
day.
Yeah, I'm really happy I started it. And they're super easy to go through. It's only 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I went through 3 episodes in one night because like it's right here. It's super short.
There was one with pirates in I forgot the title of it, but it was good. Okay. Last thing I did, right? Yeah, last thing I did is I watched the only Sean Connery Bond film I have never seen.
Oh,
I watched
never say never again.
Never Say Never Again, which is Sean Connery returning to the role after 12 years because of a lawsuit. Real quickly, for those of you who don't know, there is a James Bond film called Thunderball that stars Sean Connery. The book of Thunderball was adapted from a screenplay that was written by this guy named Alan McElroy or something. I think that's at least his initials. And he said so. He co-wrote the screenplay with Ian Fleming for a James Bond movie, and Ian Fleming didn't like it, so he adapted it into the book Thunderball. And so he was able to claim in court that he co-wrote this with Ian Fleming. So then he partially owned the rights to Thunderball. It also means that he owned the rights to the movie Thunderball. So that's caused an issue with the rights for Spectre, which is why we haven't seen a Spectre in a movie for many years.
Mhm.
So after Thunderball was made, he still had the rights, but the Broccoli's were like, he's never going to do this movie again because we're not going to make Thunderball again. But guess what? He did Thunderball again. 12 years later, he finally got a movie made called Never Say Never Again, which starred Sean Connery as an old-aged, not yet retired James Bond, but definitely one who's on his way out.
Mhm.
And it's Thunderball again. But it's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it. It's not the best Sean Connery era Bond film, but there's a lot of cool stuff in it. There's some good comedy. Sean Connery was always good as Bond, so he brings that back. He also had a hand in casting, so the cast is of a higher caliber of especially what you saw when Octopussy came out 4 months before that. So they're the Bond versus Bond in 1983 or something like that.
I think back that Octopussy is the name of a movie.
Of a Bond movie, yeah. Of a movie just in general.
Remake it.
Wild.
Cowards.
And so Max von Sydow plays Blofeld in inspired casting, I might add. There's also some other cast members like Rowan Atkinson in his very first film role. That was wild. A lot of fun. It's an interesting look at Bond. It's a little bit more serious, and I like the concepts of like, Bond being aging out of the role of 007, being ready to retire, being older, not quite as fast as he used to be, but still cunning.
Sounds like a ripoff of Skyfall, if you ask me.
And you know what that sounds like? Every Craig era Bond film. So I mentioned about it. I mentioned I was like, I really like to see this concept done again, but canonically, because it's not officially James Bond canon, because James Bond is still 30 for 50 years. And he so like I would really like to see this happen again, but that's been every Craig Bond film mostly.
Sure.
So it's like
You've had that.
I've had that 4 times, but I'm like, what? Okay, what I want specifically is for Pierce Brosnan to come back and do this role, but he did that twice.
Sure.
So I don't know what I want anymore.
Scrap it.
I like the idea of going back to a previous Bond and doing like a one last time as James Bond movie when they're older.
They just need to like bite the bullet and get a movie with all the Bonds in one movie. Like,
You know what?
all
That
the
was
doctors.
meant to be Skyfall. No,
I know. Yeah.
Apparently Skyfall. Roger Moore's dead though, so you can't get him.
Let's get
Well,
Connery.
Connery's dead.
Not then.
Yes, Dalton, Lazenby, and Brosnan are the only previous Bonds
Yeah.
that are alive.
Dream Team
Actually,
and Craig.
yeah, I'd watch it.
I mean, really, all you want is Craig Brosnan and get Dalton in there for fun.
Yeah, he's like the 8th Doctor. He's the one that's kind of loved after the fact.
That's kind of true. That's
Yeah.
a good analogy, I think.
Yeah, you get the 8th Doctor in. You did get the
Dalton's
two,
like, if you're weird, you like him.
yeah, you get 10 and 11.
It's true,
You get 10, 11, and 8.
and I do.
And then Lazenby's like what, 4, 2? I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not only going through the Craig films, I'm also watching the 3 Bond films that I haven't seen. I'm going to watch the Dalton and the Lazenby films. So I'm kind of going through the films that I hadn't seen yet. And Never Say Never Again is not available physically, so I rented it. It's available digitally on Amazon.
Interesting.
Really liked it. Want to see that done again.
It's not even in the Bond collection.
It's officially not a Bond film
That's so strange.
Look at that. Digital saves the day.
because it's not made by the Broccoli's. So it's not a Bond film. It's not part of their canon.
But he's called Bond.
But he's called James Bond because they own the rights to Thunderball.
Much like
Silly.
that movie, The Keep is very hard to find anywhere because Michael Mann really doesn't want you to watch his movie.
Yeah.
And you know what? The internet finds a way. Thank you, internet.
The Broccoli's have probably, I mean, MGM owns the movie now, but like the Broccoli's probably try to bury it whenever they can.
Can't bear the internet.
It doesn't have a lot of Bond tropes. Like he doesn't say vodka martini, shaken not stirred. And it doesn't do the gun barrel or the theme songs in it. He was able to get that. So it doesn't have like a lot of the things that he would have in a Bond film, but it's still a Bond film.
It's so weird when studios have like different controls of the IP and what they decide to do with it.
Yeah, they have it.
Crazy.
They have the rights to Thunderball now. They were able to
Can
Venom-
create some
Venom
real
2.
carnage. You stepped on it.
Okay,
I brought the Carnage. I'm sorry.
let's get into our bread and butter.
Please. Yum, yum, yum.
You good? I got a chocolate bar. You want a chocolate bar?
Not now.
I got a giant chocolate bar.
In
for
the
you.
recording, not now.
All right. So our news, I don't expect our news to be that long. The Boys spinoff, the college set Boys
Oh,
spinoff
yeah,
TV
yeah.
series.
It's
that's-
called
hear-
The Boys.
My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Well, it was initially being written by Craig Rosenberg,
Okay.
not anymore.
Oh.
Bye, Craig.
Michelle Fazekas,
Zekas
sure, and
Yeah.
Tara
One of those three or none.
or none?
and Tara Butters, who show ran Agent Carter.
Cool.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
They have taken over show running duties.
Interesting.
Cool.
This show's already casting, so interesting shakeup.
All right.
Hey, man, sometimes it happens. It might be still early enough where like it's not gonna like ruin anything.
Yeah,
So, like,
Craig Rosenberg said they left due to creative differences.
it
so,
happens.
yeah.
You know. I mean, it is like the first like spin-off of a very popular show, so like we have to see how it goes. But like, I'm still like, I know we're all still hot for The Boys, and like, I've read a lot of The Boys and like the side stuff, and it's if they're just gonna do that shit with a bunch of young kids, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like, it's oh boy,
Oh boy, with the boys.
oh
Boy,
boy,
anything that's willing to analyze like super gross capitalism, even though it's on Amazon.
hell
like,
yeah,
great.
fight it from the inside, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
Department H. We heard a little bit ago that it's getting a movie.
Oh.
Now it has Alice Waddington. She's been hired to direct the adaptation of the Dark Horse comic.
Dial H for hero.
Ooh.
Department H.
Department H. Damn, I was definitely thinking of Dial H for
Yeah.
this whole time.
What's
I have no idea what this
Matt
is.
Kint, right?
Oh yeah, okay. Now I see the covers in my brain. I still don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I've never read it. I thought maybe you had.
No. All right.
But you know what? We have seen Five Nights at Freddy's.
Not yet. Soon.
Blumhouse is getting a Five Nights at Freddy's adaptation.
Called Willy's
um,
Wonderland.
Chris Columbus was apparently attached to write and direct.
Really?
Wow.
The guy discovered America?
No,
No.
not that one.
No,
I
no,
know.
no.
Oh, not the 400, 500-year-old man. Crazy.
Yes, that one. Not the one who discovered America. The 400, 500-year-old man.
Okay, cool.
He's that one. They're different people, right? I know my world
He directed
history.
Harry Potter, yes.
Chris Columbus.
He had the Philosopher's Stone.
But he's no longer writing and directing, and Jason Blum refused to say who is.
Okay.
They're probably
All
still
right.
searching, I would guess.
No, he's got one. It's just
Oh, just keep it secret. Keep
Yeah.
it safe.
the big news there is that Chris Columbus was going to do this. That's weird.
And
What?
it passed.
Well, I mean, he did The Witches, which was good. But
Oh, that was him?
yeah, that was him.
The new one?
The new one. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
With Anne Hathaway.
I wasn't sure, like, because I know he's made a lot of
I
movies
was gonna
over
say,
the
I
decades.
think that's his most recent thing.
Yeah,
I think so too, yeah.
Cool. I mean, he's not on anymore. So
Yeah,
I'm
but
like, I'm
The
not
Witches
excited.
isn't Five Nights at Freddy's.
No, it's not.
It's
I-
there's
it's got
there is a line of similar like
Being spooked by
kooky
things.
horror.
Yeah,
there.
it's definitely
Oh, sure.
children's kooky. Like, yeah.
I
like
get-
because fundamentally Five Nights at Freddy's is only scary through jump scares. It's not like scary.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a goofy concept. Like you
Well,
can ride that line.
It's a children's game.
I
That's
mean,
why
I would say Five Nights at Freddy's is also scary in the fact that it's anticipation
You haven't
because you
played
know
it.
that.
yeah.
Real quickly, the Marty says, I thought this was funny. My kids love that game.
Yeah.
I can't take it.
What?
Yeah,
Neither
guys,
maybe Ben can't either. We're gonna find out this month.
Oh, boy.
guys, Five Nights at Freddy's is like it's extremely weird because like it is a game that is just jump scares, but it is like one of the highest selling video games of all time.
For sure.
And now it's become like there's like the new ones coming out is like a big PS5 open world spooky game, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man,
That's
it's crazy.
Well, there's like books written about it. There's like
Yeah.
so many video essays.
Again,
like,
Willy's Wonderland is a direct inspiration of it.
yeah.
That Nick Cage
So
movie.
I'm actually surprised that we have because I've heard that we are getting a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I'm surprised.
That's what.
Yeah, well,
That's
I'm
the show.
surprised it's taken this long to actually get it because I
Yeah.
would feel that we would have gotten one like a few years ago, to be honest, like at the height of Five Nights at Freddy's popularity.
I'm not surprised. This is usually about the
It
kind of
takes a while.
traction you get with like a video game thing is popular.
Yeah.
All right. Some lawsuits happened
Uh-oh.
this week.
Did they?
Wins, not losses yet. We'll see.
Mhm.
Friday the 13th had
Oh, yeah, this was
ongoing
major. Mhm.
lawsuit.
This has been going on for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, Victor Miller, who wrote the first Friday the 13th film, he had filed a claim to terminate the copyright to the Friday the 13th franchise so that he gets the rights back.
Right.
Obviously, they claimed work for hire, but he won.
So I guess you would say he's the victor.
Yep. So he is going to retain the rights to the Friday the 13th film. I thought this was interesting. Apparently, in April, he said that he never saw any of the sequels, but he never liked that they made Jason the villain because, in his eyes, Jason was always the victim.
Right.
Which is the case, yes, and like a lot of horror movies, like they go in different directions sometimes,
Yeah.
but like Jason is the killer of that franchise. I think that's a little silly.
So if we get this, if this happens, I mean, it's entirely likely because he didn't design Jason's look.
Yeah.
That happened later. He won't get that killer.
No,
Yeah.
he won't.
Yeah, he'll just get
The first film.
the first film.
He will find the company that wants to make another remake, and they'll just make like a more faithful
You
version.
might not ever get to call him Voorhees again.
That's true.
honestly
You
like
just call him Jason.
honestly like that's cool. Like
No, yeah,
redo, like it won't always work. Like we had Chucky had like a revitalization and that didn't work. Like I'm always cool with them trying new things to like liven up the thing, especially like the guy who originally created it. I disagree with like keep Jason. I think that's a good idea, but like it would be cool to see like a fresh take on this
Now,
thing.
I've not seen the first film. I've only seen the sequel, some of the sequels. Is Jason in the first film?
Only-
as, like,
only
a-
at the end.
Only in a reference of flashback, because
He jumps out at the lake at the end.
no, that's her.
No, he's the kid at the bottom of the lake at the end of the movie. He jumps out. He's been dead the whole time. And he
No,
comes
I
out.
know.
That's how he. God,
I
bro,
can't remember
he
now.
jumps out at the end. That's the end of the movie. The mom was the
No,
killer.
because I can't remember now if it's part 1 or part 2 where the mom jumps out and she's like all gross and swampy.
That's
Because one of them is her jumping out.
it's
I
definitely
can't
not the
remember
first
which
one.
it is.
It's not the first one.
That's weird that they brought back her for the
This is what
sequel.
happens when you watch parts 1 through 4 with your mom, like all in one sitting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, and the ending, that ending happens 3 times in
Okay.
3
I believe it.
movies in an order where someone jumps out of the lake,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's always a different person. And one of them, it's the mom, and I guess
It's-
it might
it's-
be part 2.
Was it Don Knotts one time? Was this kid celebrity cast?
But,
Celebrity people that jump out.
But anyway, like other than that, like you just see the flashback because the killer is the
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
through the movie.
Yeah, I thought so. The best thing that comes from this is that he takes it to another studio and makes a remake of that first film.
And even then, the implication is that Jason jumping out at her is a dream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it like kind of like just like cuts away. Like
Right,
oh,
she
no.
wakes up.
Yeah.
So
and,
that, like
with the
yeah,
police.
he wouldn't get Jason's design. So they can
Right.
rename him. They could call him something, just
Yes,
Jason.
Yes.
And so
This
really, what's happening is the studio didn't lose anything.
Yeah, this really could be a like a brand new version of like an old character. Like
I don't
that'd
know
be
if this
cool.
like means they lose. Do they lose like redistribution of the first film? No, they still have.
I don't
that?
know. I think they still have that because they would still own the
older stuff.
the
Right.
copyright.
Okay,
I'm sure like moving forward, all new stuff would be
and I don't know if you get to call it Friday the 13th anymore. I guess.
Yeah,
that's
Thursday the
part of this.
12th.
I'd have to look. Into
well, and
this.
they would
I
have
no
to,
idea.
in order to do that, they would have to give him a royalty, which really all this is about is
Right.
to get royalties.
Is him
Yeah.
getting what he's due.
There's a similar fight happening with the Predator franchise that has not been settled yet. The Predator franchise that's been going for a while. That's why the Predator comic isn't coming out. It's because of the rights issue. When the writer of the first Predator film saw his opportunity when Fox was sold to Disney, and it was like, oh, they're weak.
And just like the thing with Friday the 13th, he wants to go back to the original Jean-Claude Van Damme red Predator design. That I lied. I made that up.
I would not be surprised.
I made that up.
What if that was his idea and it's like Bob Kane getting the sole rights to
Listen,
Batman.
I will see a Friday the 13th revival. Predator's fine.
Yeah.
Predator's doing fine.
I'm excited for the new Predator movie,
Mhm.
which they're too
Yeah.
far along for that film to have any
Whenever
bearing on this lawsuit.
whenever it comes out.
Hey,
Get paid.
pay people.
Absolutely.
Black Widow,
Speaking of getting paid.
her lawsuit, Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Disney for the money that was owed due to the pandemic, she won.
Good.
Good
Well,
for her.
she didn't
They
necessarily.
came to terms.
They came to terms,
Which means she won.
which means she won.
They both won.
They settled out of court, and Disney is going. Terms have not been stated, but there's
Probably
a number
won't be.
rolling around. Probably won't be. There's a number rolling around that apparently Disney has to pay her $40 million.
Hot dog.
It's neat that she got her money. It's a shame that other people who are still getting stiffed by streaming services aren't.
Yes, but what this does is create precedent.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I mean, like that's the whole thing that's happening with IOTS right now.
Yes.
They're voting this weekend
Yep.
about the strike, so very likely
Get
it's going
paid.
to happen. Honestly,
paid, writers.
friends.
Yeah.
Expect our movies and TV shows to get postponed, but not because of the pandemic, because of the strike.
Yep.
Listen, writer strike happened.
No,
People
yeah,
gotta get
it's
paid.
got
like,
it's got to happen. I'm all
absolutely.
for it. I
Yeah.
just I think it's absolutely silly.
It's
that
crazy
they're not
that,
just willing
like-
to meet them on the negotiations and avoid the strike, because it's like you know what this does. You
Yeah.
just went through a pandemic, and we all went through the writer strike. Like, we know you're eventually going to have to meet them on terms.
It's nice that we're gonna have another like blockbuster year where we have like Transformers 2 and like all these movies that just like don't have scripts but had to get made. And like, oh wow, this is like
Well,
this
now-
2023.
Well, no, because like they can't just like wing it because they don't have writers. Like they will not have the crew.
Yeah, that's
Nothing will get made.
no.
Oh, this is the big
crew-
one.
this is
yeah.
about
this
the crew.
big
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
The
Yeah.
crew's not going to be there. There's
Directors with their iPhones.
So, but as I said, this creates precedent.
Mhm.
And should anyone, didn't even know, decide to sue their studio to get the money that's owed, there's precedent that they could win. And courts love their precedent.
Good.
But the best news is that Scarlett Johansson's Tower of Terror movie is moving forward.
Hell yeah, Ben. You know who she's playing?
Who's she playing?
The Tower.
Don't do that to him.
I saw that joke online. I was like, I have to steal it. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. She could play anybody. You know?
As an Asian actress, she's very
she
versatile.
could play anybody, Ben. She said it
That's-
herself.
That's Emma Stone.
No.
No,
That's
she's-
Scarlett Johansson.
No,
Scarlett
no, it's
said
Scarlett Johansson.
She could play anybody else. Emma just took a role, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, Emma Stone didn't.
Emma's not proud of what happened there.
Uh.
she's accepted what she's done. Scarlett won't stop talking.
That's
Get
true.
paid, honey. That's fine. Stop
Hey,
talking.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, I forgot she played. She was in Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost
I
in
forgot.
the
Everybody,
Mhm.
everybody needs to get paid,
Absolutely.
which is why the Steve Ditko estate
Ah.
Man. This is insane.
is suing. This actually happened last week. I forgot to put it in. But the Steve Ditko estate is suing for termination of copyright to Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which prompted Disney to countersue and preemptively countersue other heirs.
Yep.
To keep characters like Iron Man, Black Widow.
Yep.
So and the like. So that's the big news. As I understand it, I don't understand a lot of copyright law, but basically, if they were to win, not Disney, if Steve Ditko were to win, Steve Ditko would own half of Spider-Man because Stan Lee would own the other half still, and his heir still works with Disney.
And you know what that means? He can license on Spider-Man to whoever he wants.
Yes,
That's insane.
and-
This is the craziest news.
and because Disney will own the not own the copyright, they'll own the trademark,
Right.
which is different.
Mhm.
They won't lose Spider-Man. They'll just have to give the Ditko
They have
estate.
to give money
Yeah.
to the people.
Yes.
And if we all know Disney and copyright law, they love.
Yeah,
to mess with
People have
copyright law.
pointed out how funny it is because this wouldn't be happening
If
to
it wasn't-
Disney if they hadn't fucked with the law.
100%.
Yeah.
to
100%.
make
This
Mickey
is-
Mouse be
Oh,
uncopyrightable.
No, I was listening to the Illuminati's podcast about that,
Hell
about Disney and the copyright law thing and fair use and all that jazz. Oh lordy lord! So this is kind of like Disney.
This is called karma.
Yep, and it's also
Mhm,
Disney shooting themselves in the foot, but not realizing it 20 years ago.
It's the one thing that that Warner Brothers / DC has done so much better. Not 100% great.
Well,
but
to
they
be
are so
fair, it
much
took
better.
them their own a similar lawsuit
Yeah.
because the Siegel and
Superman.
Schuster estate sued
100%.
DC just before the New 52 was hitting.
But even that, I mean, like the newer
But they
movies,
won.
like the creators are like they're treating the people who made the comics like with much more respect, and they're getting more
Right.
paid. They're being in their movies.
Well,
and stuff.
my point is to bounce off of what you were saying is that the Siegel and Schuster estate did this. They won, which creates precedent, which means that this could happen to the Ditko estate, which means that other people could, which means that that Marvel and Disney will hopefully have the same sea change that we're seeing at DC with what we're seeing lately, and Marvel and Disney will at least start paying their previous creators.
And it's not like they can't afford it, right?
Right. And we heard about this with Remender, the creator of Brubaker.
Brubaker, yeah.
Brubaker. You get a $500,000 check and a
Brand of $5,000.
$5,000 check, and you go and you get tickets to the premiere.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
even
they
then,
should be getting
also,
royalties.
that interview goes further. Ed Brubaker was at the premiere and he wasn't allowed in. He had to text Sebastian Stan because he wasn't on the list.
Yeah, like the thing is, like, you should be paying these people royalties. You're making billions off of their properties.
Yeah.
At the very least, they should be good. James Gunn had to credit John Ostrander.
He's in the movie too. Yeah.
He had to credit him in the script in order to get that guy the payment that he would be due.
And he was on screen, so he got to be like in like the guild, and like he got paid, and he'll get royalties for life for being in a 5-second scene. Like it's DC just has a way, even if it's just James Gunn, like they have a way of treating their people with respect.
But the fact that they had to go that far is ridiculous, and that should not be the case. They should look. Donny Cates is in the credit of the Venom Let There Be Carnage film. Like if you put these creators in the credits, you pay them their royalties. You give them the money that they are owed for these billion-dollar franchises.
It's true. And man, that's
what this could do.
If this goes through, and I think Disney will just buy him out in some way. Like I don't know. I don't see this one going through just because how big Spider-Man is, and they want that for themselves. If it does, holy shit, this will be wild. That's insane. I can't even imagine what would happen in the next couple of years of Spider-Man. It's crazy, especially with what's going on with Venom 2 already. Like, wow.
It'll be interesting because it's more going to say, like, what is Disney going to do long term? Because this is, like, we're not that far away from where they're going to have to decide if they're going to try and fight that fight again to extend out Mickey Mouse.
Oh, boy.
So are they going to admit, like, okay, this isn't an inevitability. Like, we can't do this anymore. Like, we have to just let it go. Or are they going to really buckle down and try and hold that shit on lock?
Is it wrong? Is it wrong of me that I really want Disney to lose?
No,
this part.
No.
What have what has this whole conversation been about? Have we? Wait, I'm sorry. Did I say Disney don't pay anybody?
No, Disney definitely pays them.
No, Ben.
But I want, as much as I love Disney, I really want them to lose.
I just can respect their entertainment, but also want them to.
No,
pay
I
their
do respect.
I wanted them to lose against Scarlett Johansson.
There are many facets to a company. You can like things and also dislike things.
Oh no, I
at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, let me rephrase. Is it petty of me that I want Disney to lose?
No.
All right, awesome, cool, because I really want them to lose.
No,
and also I kind of, because let's be real. If Disney like loses like the hardcore copyright of Mickey Mouse, they can still make Mickey Mouse cartoons. It's not that
Disney just pledged a bunch of money against like the climate change bill along with Amazon, and like I don't care if they have to lose this fight. Like they just put a whole bunch of money into the pockets of people trying to stop preventing climate change.
The thing that this can do, the thing that this can do is get to is make it a lot easier for these people, give them a road to get the royalties that they're due. And that's at the end of the day. Look, at the end of the day, if the only thing that happens from that is that Steve Ditko's heirs get $40 bajillion from Disney, that's still a win.
Yeah.
Because then they're getting what's owed.
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Especially since Disney is making billions of dollars off of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so Sony. All right.
The spunk.
That's that.
That's that. Get paid.
We're all on the side of get paid.
True. Pay us.
Okay. Miscellaneous news then.
We're always on the side of the little guy getting what they're owed.
Scarlett Johansson.
The smallest actor in Hollywood.
Again, like
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, like she's right. Like she should get what she's owed, but like I wish that her fight had included some of the other people who were stiff.
Yes. All right, I'm going to do this in different order. The book of Boba Fett is coming December 29th.
How many issues does it have? God, I'm funny.
That's pretty good.
This is the thing that was announced at the end of Mandalorian, right? This is that. Okay.
Yes.
It's not anything different.
So this is going to be that show, which kind of gives us a estimation of like probably when that ends is about the time we'll get Ms. Marvel.
Probably, yeah. Interestingly, there was also a synopsis release, which I didn't put in here because all it said is Fennec Shan and Boba Fett are doing things with Jabba's
On
crime syndicate
Tatooine.
on Tatooine. I'm like,
Neat.
Cool.
Sounds like exactly what that teaser.
I
told
saw
me.
the end of
Yep.
that show. I got it.
It's like, hey, he killed that guy and he's sitting on the throne, so he's
Listen,
in charge
Bib
now.
Fortuna or nothing.
I'm all about watching.
Big Daddy Boba Fett.
Yeah, I'm all about watching. Boba.
Old man Boba.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm here for it
All right.
because
this
I love
isn't-
that actor. So
This isn't news, but the Obi-Wan show finished filming, and Ewan's like, I think you guys are gonna like it. I'm like, duh, of course we are, dude.
Yeah, of course, dude.
You're Obi-Wan.
You're in it.
you're in it. Like we like bad movies that you're in. Like,
Exactly.
we like bad Star Wars movies because you're in them.
You're the savior.
You're the only one who's been able to unite all sides of the fandom.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's so quotable.
Yeah.
I was literally watching Megan and Katie watching a documentary earlier today, and some woman said like, and I was watching the construction of my empire, and I'm like, your new empire.
I cannot tell you how many times I go through a drive-through and I say,
Hello there.
hello there. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
just hope
God.
and pray someone on the person taking my order goes, General Kenobi.
That's like a running joke with a coworker of mine at work.
All right. Donkey Kong, Ben.
Huh?
Rah, rah.
Oh, and I know
Seth Rogen.
Oh God, Mario's crazy.
That's right.
Hey, give me some bananas, Mario.
Donkey Kong is going to get his own world, the
Yep.
Jungles of Donkey Kong.
Yep.
And the Super Nintendo World in Japan.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
At
Wild.
Universal
Yeah.
That's pretty
Studios.
cool.
Yeah, it's like kind of like it's an expansion to Super Nintendo World, but this one's all about Donkey Kong.
Do you know how big it is? Because I looked it up. It's
How-
going to increase Super Mario World by 70%.
That's
Wow.
That's
That's-
almost 100%. That's a
that-
lot.
That's more than double the size of the Super Mario World.
That's like adding
Super-
Cars Land to
yeah.
oh wow.
That's
Toontown.
yes. Yes.
I had to think of like something comparable.
That's big.
I'm trying. I mean, because once again, I haven't been there. Obviously, I haven't been there. We can't even go to Japan. But from the videos I've seen, it's pretty decently sized. The one over in Universal Studios Japan. So adding more to that is just gonna make this huge. And I'm actually I'm really happy for it because when plans of the Super Nintendo World were announced, we were thinking, oh, is it how's Zelda gonna be represented? How's all these other Nintendo franchises gonna be represented? And when we saw that it's just Mario, which it's fine because Mario is the main mascot of Nintendo. You say
Chris
Nintendo,
Pratt?
yeah.
It's a Mia Mario.
Oh Lord, yeah, I gotta get used to that. So
it's a me, Chris Pratt.
yeah.
It's a me, Mario.
Oh God, focus. All right. So the fact that we're getting this big expansion, which is celebrating all the Donkey Kong games, like the original arcade classic Donkey Kong Country, which is still
Oh, we're gonna be climbing ladders. You know it.
oh Lord, yeah. So I can only imagine the minecart ride is gonna be the big attraction there, which is also the hardest level in the SNES game.
Oh hell yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
excited because now we're getting more Nintendo characters instead of just Mario, Peach,
I bet
Luigi, and
you-
Bowser.
I
Of course
bet,
you are.
I bet you this comes to Florida and doesn't come to California.
Probably
Almost
isn't-
certainly.
Yeah.
I can easily
Still
see,
waiting for Diagon Alley, guys.
I can
Diagon
easily see this
Alley.
coming to Florida. You're right. This probably isn't going to come to
So we
Los
just
Angeles.
don't. We just don't have the space here.
Like it's because I remember you guys know Jeff. Like when he used
name's
to work
Jeff.
when he worked there were plans that because there's a golf course across the freeway.
Yes.
There were plans that Universal was gonna buy that golf course, demolish it, and then
Good.
have like an underground thing to get and expand the theme park over there.
I'm anti-golf.
Or they were thinking about just taking the back lot out entirely, but of course
They
Hollywood
didn't
still,
they didn't do either of those. And they're still
Obviously-
building that world.
obviously, and well they did like tear
That's-
down a soundstage to make room for Nintendo World.
I was gonna say this is what happens when you build a theme park where you still have actively working stages
Yeah.
and shooting areas and sets. Like obviously you're going to run into problems of
Mhm.
trying to expand your theme park.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Other,
all.
yeah. Other than that, just and for me, another reason to go to Japan to visit
Hey.
Super Nintendo World because that comes out in 2026.
Oh, so
2024.
soon.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
Quick side note, because I forgot to mention it, but John Radley, friend of the podcast and listener, reached out to me to talk about the Mario movie news when we talked about it. And he's like, I want to share why I'm hopeful. And I'm like, all right,
Oh.
I will reiterate that, which is that Nintendo is very protective of their IP.
Mm-hmm.
And so like his argument is, essentially that they care a lot about it. And if they didn't have faith in it, they wouldn't be making it. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if that covers the casting, but maybe that means the movie's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fair point. I'm like, that is true, but I'm like,
I mean, the reason why
Nintendo is not necessarily infallible with their decisions either, but
the reason
I
why
do
this
think
took
it's a
so
good
long.
point.
The reason why this took so long is because the first Super Mario Brothers movie, and they were like, we're not doing this again.
Well,
And-
right.
But and also another reason is after when Nintendo announced they were going to partner with Philips, and then we got the Zelda the games for the Philips CDI, which were
Excuse me, princess.
well, that was from the cartoon, but yeah, that too. Then you're right. Nintendo is very protective of their properties. That's why we haven't seen a whole lot of media outside video
Yeah,
games
that's why-
for a good long while.
That's why they made that choice after that first movie. They said we talked about when we talked about all those video game movies that they made the conscious choice, like, we're not doing this. We're not taking this out of our hands. This is ours.
yeah.
Anyway, that's like the sliver of hope he's holding on to, and I'm like, I respect that. That's probably reasonable, and I reserve judgment until trailer.
Yeah. And also to reiterate what your what was his name again?
John.
What John said, because if my memory serves me right, Miyamoto himself has said he was working directly with the head of Illumination Studios. So maybe that's because for the first time he had no
all it
input
takes
at all.
is all it takes is for the Illumination head to just be like, hey, dude, you know who's hot
Listen,
right now? Chris Pratt.
Listen, here's the thing, Ben. That like Miyamoto is like a 60-year-old man. I don't know if he knows what a Hollywood movie needs. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't give me personally. That doesn't give me hope. Like, the dude who created Mario like 30 years ago. Like, hey, this is what I think a 21st century Mario movie. Like, to me, I don't think he's the guy. Honestly, that's why you get people in Hollywood to do these things. It's nice that he's there. That doesn't give me hope because again, people come back. Like, the creators come back all the time, and things are really bad. So like.
I do see John's point, and it makes me feel a little less like maybe this movie won't be like as much the Robot Chicken parody Teen Titans Go kind of thing that I was fearful of. Maybe it will be a more solid thing. It still doesn't make me have faith in the casting decisions.
Yeah.
Because again, it could come down to they went to Miyamoto and they were like, hey, we're Hollywood people. We know better than you in this situation, so we know who's hot.
I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about this, and they were saying how like Miyamoto. There was a tweet about Miyamoto having met with Chris Pratt not long after like Guardians
Waypoint?
came out. Yes.
Yeah.
And so like it's very likely Miyamoto was like Chris Pratt would be great for Mario. I don't think that this necessarily was shoved on him. So let's maybe disperse that illusion. The other thing is that he shared the information, which I'm not going to go into here. We'll talk about it off air, but he did share the information about Spike, who you guys weren't sure about. The character Spike, where it comes from. It's a deep cut from the games that Ben should have known, and we'll talk about it off air.
Okay, cool. Didn't know that. Do you guys know who Cassandra Peterson is?
Yes, of course.
Oh yeah.
We may know her as her other name, Elvira.
I worked at a place that she worked at. It was neat.
Cool.
There was a day where Elvira was going to come by and pick up her materials for something at work, and everyone at work was all aflutter, like, "Oh my God, Elvira's coming! Elvira's coming!" I never see my boss.
She's really
fluster.
cool. I talked to a lot of people because I worked at Not Scary Farm, and she was at Scary Farm for years, and a lot of people were like, she's just a really great person, and so I was really excited for her when this news came out.
She came out as bi in her new memoir,
which is awesome.
She's been dating a woman named Teresa T. Weirson. For many years.
19 years.
19 years.
Yeah.
Imagine having to hide a relationship for 19 years. That's awful. That's amazing and awful.
Talk to Whitney Houston. It's incredible. It's incredible that these people both cared about each other enough and were supportive of each other enough to say like we need to protect the Elvira image because they were definitely nervous. And like while I would say like now obviously it's easy to like say, oh no, you could have totally like and you would have been fine, but like 19 years ago, not so much.
Yeah.
It's awesome that they were like, well, we need to protect her image as a sex icon and this kind of thing. And so we're just going to keep that on the down low. I'm so glad that she gets to speak her truth.
When I was looking this up, I saw a tweet from 2013 where she goes, I bet you guys didn't know I'm bilingual. And I'm like, oh, girl.
Oh,
yeah. What's
you
cool
were doing it then.
What's cool is like she's kind of been like a queer icon for a long time. Like
absolutely.
And it's really just like cool and reassuring and like I've been one of you guys the whole time. I'm like that is
the straights have loved her.
Yeah.
So love to like ogle her
yeah.
and adore her. But like the queers have loved her too. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool. It's like, hey guys, sorry it took so long, but I'm here too. I'm like, man, that's awesome. I love it.
A major, I'm not gonna like give their information here, but like a major haunt actor who's been at Knott's for years is queer and like has talked about how like close I don't know that they know, but I know that they were like they got along really well with Cassandra and thought she was really incredible. And I'm like, I don't know, I doubt they knew, but like it's still awesome.
Yeah. It's really nice to have someone, because this was really personal for me, but like it's really nice to have such a prominent bisexual icon.
Sure.
The bisexual community doesn't really have that. At least not in the same way that others. And I just think it's really nice that someone so prominent came out as specifically bi.
Right.
Yeah, she's really great. She seems really nice. Like I said,
I
my boss was so excited.
It's all in her autobiography, which just came out, or memoir.
It's a memoir.
Memoir. I got it in audiobook because I want to hear her say it, so I'm excited to dig into that.
She retired the Elvira role a couple years ago.
Okay, so she stopped at Not Scary Farm 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Let's say, are we watching a trailer?
And
That's coming up.
And so she retired like regular appearances, so it's kind of just on her say so.
At this point, she doesn't look it. She looks great, but she is getting up there.
I mean, she's been able to pull it off for forever.
She's doing it for like 40 years. Right?
I know, but like what I was getting at was that there comes a point where like once you're getting up there in age, like you want to stop doing this thing as much.
So if I were to take a guess at it, like she retired the character as far as like regular appearances. Now it's just really when she wants to. She's done two things we're going to talk about, like next Netflix and Chill's trailer.
Yes,
but she also just hosted a Shudder special. So she's as Elvira. So she's still going to use the character when she wants. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see a little bit of an uptick because there's been such a positive response to her as bisexual of Elvira. I would not be surprised if she kind of has a new energy to the role.
Yeah,
where she does some other things with it.
Yeah.
I think more importantly was that she wanted to step away from her like consistent October slot at Knott's where she was doing shows nightly for Scary Farm. I think she really wanted to step away from that because she'd been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, no shame, and you're so popular, getting all that money doing this thing. It's no shame in just being like, maybe I don't do it all the time. Maybe I just do it sometimes.
Yeah. It's so cool to have had the opportunity to like how easy that was when we went to Scary Farm to like Elvira's right there. We can just go see her show, and we did, and it was just really nice that was there. I'm really glad that she loved doing that so much that she was there.
Yeah. Well, what I was getting at with this is that there is a special coming. There is a Netflix special called Netflix and Chills that she is hosting.
Blah.
This is going to be a series of basically what she's going to have a couple specials talking about Netflix horror films. Recommending them as a doctor would for certain things. Yeah, that's basically what it is. But I just thought it was really cool that she was doing that.
Elvira is very much like our modern Vincent Price,
Sure.
host of horror.
Yeah.
She's adopted into that role for a while.
Even like 40 years ago, they were considering like she was the female Vincent Price.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
She is the mistress of horror. Like it's very cool to get anytime you get to see her doing that is awesome.
Oh,
yeah, she's like 60 something now. She looks great.
Yeah, she looks great. I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, anyway, that's all the Elvira news. Sorry, guys. But we've got some Chucky news.
I like Chucky.
Second trailer for the new Chucky TV series.
Are we in the trailer park?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you didn't tell us we arrived.
No, you just started talking about Elvira.
I gotta park it.
You know what? That was a smooth transition there, bud.
That was smooth. It's like you snuck it in through the back
was
door and we didn't
smooth.
know.
I didn't mean to.
It was
I feel like I would know.
It was like smooth peanut butter, man. It's like, oh, okay.
You put peanut butter in your back hole?
No.
What are we talking about?
Only Chunky.
I said back door. You took it to a different place.
Yeah.
Chucky premiering on Sci-Fi.
Yeah,
anyway, the Sci-Fi Channel is doing a Chucky TV series. This is our second look. Our second look at it.
So I don't remember the first trailer that we talked about. If we did.
Yeah, we did because it was the trailer where it showed a lot of like him compelling the kid to do things and being like, "Do this." It was like threats of violence against him, and he did
you want to come?
Things,
you
like,
want to come kill your sister with me?
Well, it didn't. It was escalating to that, but it was like small shit at first.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the song that they played in Your Heads Will Roll by the Yeah Yells. So that's why one reason I like this trailer. But Chucky, I watch a lot of you. So I don't talk about it ever in my week, but I spend hours on YouTube just watching video essays, stuff about movies that I haven't seen, so I know that I talk about them stuff. But like I have seen all the Chucky movies, and I just recently watched the thing about Chucky. Chucky is the most progressive horror franchise of the 21st century. It's just a shame that the movies aren't as good as the progression that they're making, because that whole thing is about body identity, and the kid in those movies is a trans kid, and the girl in this was a boy and now is a girl in the show, and they're keeping the continuity from the past 20 years. And like I am really excited. I think this looks actually really good, and it's taking it back from the absurdity that it's become while still keeping the Jennifer Tilly stuff and keeping Brad Dourif as Chucky. It looks like classic Chucky while still keeping all the crazy mythos stuff with him being a voodoo man, and they're definitely going way into his past, which we've never seen before. And again, Brad Dourif's in the show, like he's part of it. So like we're gonna see a lot of the backstory of this crazy killer man. Why does he know voodoo? That's why I want to know why this white dude knows voodoo.
It was the 80s.
It was the 80s. We're all doing voodoo. I just think Chucky is awesome. Of all the killers, like he's one of my favorites because like a little tiny killer is really terrifying. Because I just want to like, you think you just kick him, then they'll stab you.
Yeah, you think you could just like, oh, I could punt this guy from the 20-yard
yeah.
line, but then it's like, oh yeah, then he stabs your foot or gets you in the leg, and then he cuts that artery in your leg, and you die.
You know what?
Yeah,
I think if you were a football player and he was standing at the 20-yard line, and you were coming at him as a football player.
Oh,
you were
absolutely.
kicking him. I think you could do it.
But it's like it's like the sneakiness and you not knowing that he's actually an evil little white dude stuck in this doll, and then he's like, "Did that power I beg of you?" And like Brad Dourif is so good in that role. So like I'm just excited to go back to like like classic Chucky with modern twists. It's cool that Don Mancini's back. Like that dude has so much passion for the franchise.
The thing that got me really interested in this, and I haven't seen any Child's Play films or Chucky films.
Oh,
except the new one.
Except the new one.
Except for the new one, yes, I've seen the remake.
interesting.
I liked it.
That's the only one I've seen.
Halloween, baby.
And we one of the things that got me interested was that they were like he split his soul, and there's other Brad Dourif's
Other
Horcruxes, essentially. I'm like, that's cool.
Basically, yeah. And that little kid is like the son is the son of Chucky and Jennifer Tilly.
And it explains why there's so many why all the dolls look clean after like there's other dolls. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
That's a lie. I have seen another Chucky movie, and it's a Seed of Chucky.
That's one of the crazy ones. Yeah,
that was the most recent, right?
No, there was Cult of Chucky, which I haven't.
Chucky.
That is the one that I haven't seen. That is the most recent one. I didn't hear.
Seed of Chucky is where Chucky and his wife, the other doll, are trying to have like a kid, and that's also a doll, right?
Yeah, and then the kid, like is like transitioning in the movie from like a boy to a girl. Yeah,
I don't remember that part. I just remember the doll kid kills Chucky or kills Chucky.
It's been a while.
It's
been a while. I'm gonna rewatch those movies. It's
If you were to show me a poster or a few screenshots of it, I'd be like, okay, that's the one I saw.
Yeah. Jennifer Tilly is a delight, and I'm excited she's back.
I never saw Seed of Chucky. The only thing I remember is the weird teaser trailer, which was the embryo, and then it turned and it had a Chucky face.
Yeah,
I was like, that's nightmare fuel
again, like,
on
a
a real level.
I said it earlier, like I'm in like schlock mode, so like I am in the perfect time to rewatch those movies.
Chucky is schlock for sure.
Yeah.
Just Beyond.
Man, it's cool that there's just good quality R.L. Stein content for kids still.
Sure.
I just
Yeah.
think that's great.
Yeah,
and good quality and scary R.L. Stein content too. Because there's the scene where it's like things darken and the lights turn on. There's a guy there.
Man, if I was 12, this would be my shit.
Yeah.
I would be so pumped for this to drop. As it is, I'm like, that's pretty cool. I don't know that I'll watch it, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Glad it's
Definitely gave me old school Goosebumps vibes when I was a kid. Like I remember even watching old school Goosebumps. There was like a warning before the opening credits started, and it's like, "Yo, this is like scary.
Beware."
There's clearly good heart and effort put into this. Yeah, and I appreciate it. I'm glad it's there.
Yeah. It feels like Netflix. There's like a lot of like young adult like this type of stuff coming out. I mean, besides like Halloween, it's coming out, but like like the Young Benedictory Society or whatever. Like, there's a lot of these types of shows. Yeah. And this one doesn't look any different. It looks good. I probably won't watch it.
Well, it is Disney Plus, like Benedict Society.
Yeah,
right.
That's yeah.
I mean, and we're not the audience it's made for, but I'm glad that it's there for the audience it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I bet it looks good. Like it's solidly made.
Yeah,
happy.
Really happy to always see that McKenna Grace keeps getting work.
Yep,
she's great.
Yep.
Maya and the Three.
This is a show, right?
This is a show. It's a miniseries.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's a miniseries on Netflix.
This is still. This is just gorgeous.
I really like the animation. I really got to go back to watch The Book of Life again.
That
movie is really good.
Oh, man, that is
visionary director.
I really like. I do. I agree. I really like the animation.
Yeah, I still feel the same way from the first trailer.
Yeah, I'm just not. There's nothing else. It's bringing me to make. Me
like again, like what's the other movie that's similar to this that we watched earlier this year with it's a Disney one, Maya. Nope, Raya. And I was like, it's like that, but with like a different skin on it. And I'm like, I know it's better than that. I know that's like sounds reductive, but like,
that's what people
the story.
That's what he got. I mean, he's had that criticism a lot. Like when Coco was coming out, like when Book of Life was coming out, everyone was like, "Oh, you're just getting in front of Pixar, but Coco's like, oh, it's just going to be the
Because Coco
Book of-
hadn't been made, so
Hadn't
everyone
been
was like
made.
they're
Book
trying to step
Life
on
came
that.
out way earlier than Coco.
But-
Right. Well,
they were
they
the-
knew that they knew Pixar was making a Dia de los Muertos movie, and so he was criticized for like
Oh, okay.
just trying to step on the shoes of that ahead of time.
Yeah, so it happens to this guy a lot. I'm always constantly amazed by his vision. He visionary director. I think that there's a lot of vision in this movie. I am really engaged in like the humor of it and the story of it. I'm really into. I'm really excited.
I'm glad.
I'm not trying to negate that. There's none of the humor is working for me.
Yeah, like this does. Yeah, like family friendly type humor. It has to be exceptional, or else it's just like it's a fart joke. Like for me, like this one. This trailer just didn't sell me more than the last trailer.
Yeah,
looks great though.
But I do think that animation's gorgeous.
Yeah, like I'll probably watch this. I say that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's a lot to watch, guys.
Really need to watch Book of Life soon.
Do it.
Encanto.
This one looks good. This is a movie I want to watch. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to know a bit more about the story. I'm okay with the fact that I don't know more. I kind of wish I did, but I'm okay with it because I'm like I have faith in the quality of what they're making.
Mhm.
So I'm already there anyway.
I'm just glad we get a little bit more pretense, or is that the right word, or context to
Yeah,
it? Because I mean,
context, yeah,
yeah,
right.
in the first one, it's just like, hey, here's a bunch of people with gifts, and then
Right.
there you have
It's Latin X-Men.
then
We're
you
saying
have
the
the
same thing.
What?
We're saying the same thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree. I'm glad that we know more.
Yeah.
I do think it looks good. I'm excited. I'm even more excited because this is the week when I found out Diane Guerrero was in it,
Crazy.
playing Isabella, who's described by the sister as a perfect
Queen
Uh,
Krakoa.
Yeah. So I'm all about it. I'm really happy that she's in this.
Another one I'm really excited for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Harder They Fall.
This is the winner. of the
Whoa.
week.
Man,
This is a banger.
Netflix original films outside of Night Teeth recently, we've seen a lot of them, and I've been like,
Hit or
all
miss.
right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically of the Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds and Rock one.
Oh my
Uh,
god, they released a 3-minute clip of that. I'm like, oh my god, the joke about being an AI movie is like, this is even worse. Like it is. Hey guys, you want to watch what a movie would look like if aliens
made
invaded?
by
This is it.
committee.
It's 100%. that.
Yeah, this looks great. This I'm so excited. I'm here for that Jonathan Majors Idris Elba show with
Speaking-
Regina King on the side. I love
Speaking
it.
of vision, because there's a lot of vision in this as well. I love how it looks. The way it's shot is really cool. I really like westerns in general.
Yes.
So
This
I'm
is made
stoked.
like old school western. You can see it with like the background.
And it's nice because like westerns predominantly is a white genre, and like having an entire cast and like even the townspeople, it's like an entire black cast, and I'm like, this rules. Like
well, they've talked about like this is paying to the fact that there were black cowboys. We just
Yeah.
don't talk about them.
yeah, the character that Zazie Beetz is playing, like I saw a picture and I read her Wikipedia article, like she was a real gunslinger who did real
Right.
bad shit. I'm like, oh my god, this is like partially based on a true story. I'm like, that's awesome.
So unlike Encanto, I still have really no idea what's going on. I don't know who the villain is, who the bad guy, if there is a villain, if there's a
Well,
protagonist.
it looks like Jonathan Majors is hunting Idris Elba.
Yeah, it looks like it's like
Okay.
it's like they're the bad guys and Jonathan Majors is the good guy, but he's the antagonist.
I think they're both bad guys, but one's a bad guy who crossed the other bad guy.
He has a cross on
like
his face.
in the sense of how all cowboys are really bad guys when you
Yeah.
look back at it, like and how it should be analyzed. Like I think that they're all bad. I don't think like Jonathan Majors is a sheriff or anything. He's not a lawman.
He might be a
they're-
bounty hunter.
They're all bad guys.
Yeah.
But they're all like willing to do bad.
Morally
stuff.
As-
dubious.
As I was trying to say, unlike Encanto, where I'm like, okay, cool, I get more context. I don't get more context to this one, but this is the one I really want to see because I just want.
Interesting. I definitely got a lot more context in this movie.
I did it.
in this trailer because now I know what Jonathan. The first trailer, I thought Jonathan Majors was part of Idris Elba's crew.
I did too.
In this one, I know that he's not.
Well,
and they're
yeah.
going to clash. So
Yeah.
by that, honestly, this told me the plot of the movie. It is Idris Elba versus Jonathan Majors. So I Encanto gave me less than what the context of this movie did. To use your analogy, Ben, what you were saying.
Encanto was like a tone piece.
I'm pumped for it. I like it.
Either way, I want to see the
I
Harder
love
They
the
Fall.
color.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
see some gunsling. I just want to see Idris Elba
Just Idris
slinging
Elba,
guns.
like
Regina King slinging guns as
Oh, yeah.
well. I'm like, I'm all for
like
it.
after the Suicide Squad, like the Idris Elba being a bad boy. I'm just like, oh, more. Take it, please.
Should we get into our main topic? Because we're done with the news.
Oh boy.
Carnage.
Oh boy.
Ooh, Carnage.
All right. Before we get into our review, Sparks, did you see this movie?
I did see this movie.
All right. So full spoilers for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. If you don't want to know anything about this really short movie, skip to the end, skip to my Lou, whatever you want to do.
I emphatically swore I wasn't going to see this at the end of our Venom review, which is
You-
really funny.
Here's what I think.
I went back and listened to it.
I'm glad that you saw this one, so we can actually do a mulligan on the Harry Potter movie. That's we're not going to see.
Oh yeah.
Oh
boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So full spoilers. Skip to the head. If you're watching this live, I don't know what to do. Turn it off, I guess. Come back in 30 minutes.
Watch
Check in
the-
on the book club.
Watch the
tomorrow.
rewind.
Yeah.
If you're watching the rewind, skip, whatever. It's
We're
time
doing
coded.
it.
So full spoilers for Venom. Let There Be Carnage. What do we think about this movie, Ben?
I had to stew on it for a while, but I like it more than the first one.
Ryan.
If the first Venom movie is a bad 90s comic, this is a good 90s comic.
Sparks?
You go first. You go ahead of me.
Oh, I had a good time. I think it is not particularly good, but it's entertaining. It's 90 minutes. I don't feel like I wasted any time.
Before you go, we watched Malignant last week, and talking about schlock and like camp. That is Malignant is a perfect version of that. I had a lot of same feelings in this. It's not executed nearly as well, but like yeah.
It's honestly 90 minutes. I got some good laughs. I don't know.
I ended up seeing this one by myself because of circumstances. So
because of me.
But yeah, not really. And so I saw it by myself, which was just an interesting context to do this in. And I have to say, I'm kind of bummed that that's the way it happened because I had a great time.
Yes! Yes! Sparks, I wish I would have saw this with you. Because, like, no offense to you, Ben, but, like, you don't appreciate Schlocker Camp as much as my friend over here does.
Guess
and
not.
there are just moments where I'm like, oh, my God, I really hope Sparks likes this part.
I couldn't believe I laughed out loud before
Thank
anybody
God.
else in my theater,
I'm
which
so
was
happy.
mostly crowded. And that I did it probably about 5 minutes into the movie. And I was like, oh, wow. Where am
All
I?
right, I've been tiptoeing a bit. So okay, so I'm so excited because I didn't know. Man, that was such a good way to tell that. I had no idea where that was going to go. Yeah,
I
wonderful.
really didn't want you guys to know where I landed.
Okay,
I had a great
I had
time.
a great time. Here's the thing though. We walked into the movie theater. We checked our ticket. Oh, popcorn right there. Cool. Hey, can we get a refill with no salt? We're already making a no salt, sir. Great. We don't even have to wait.
It's starting strong.
Starting great. Can we get can I have a $5 reward? Awesome. Look, this were
Saving money?
Everything was working.
We went early, so I paid matinee prices, so it was cheaper than normal, too.
We got in there and the first trailer started. We're like, damn, nailed it.
So
great time.
Okay, so again, last
Good movie.
week we talked about Malignant, and in the first 5 minutes, like, oh, you know what this movie is.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The first 5 minutes of this movie, when you have Woody Harrelson's voice over not Woody Harrelson, and it's just like,
Jesus.
oh yes, Andy. Oh, Andy, thank you. Because like Andy Serkis understood the assignment. The script is
Yeah.
not. I will not say the script's good in this movie.
No, I won't.
But
I
Andy Serkis, he knew what movie. He brought Claw to this movie. I'm gonna make this the dumbest shit, and you guys are gonna love it. And I'm sorry if you don't like it. This is the best version of what a Venom sequel could be in my eyes. And I really hope Andy Serkis stays on specifically because for the sequel, which will be even crazier. Because like that dude gets how to do good special effects. I thought the special effects in this movie were great.
Mhm.
I thought the
Oh, yeah.
action. Oh, it was in a well-lit church. It was in a well-lit police. Like, oh my God, I could see what's going on.
Yeah,
Like
the action was really good.
Andy, like
I
you
never
might be a schlock king, my guy.
I never had the moment in the first Venom that I had in the first Venom film, which is there's a moment where what's the guy? Riot. And Venom were like glooping together.
We
Oh,
literally
yeah.
we literally compared them to plastic trash bags blowing in the wind.
Yeah,
In our review.
like they're just glooping together. I never had that moment in this movie. I
No.
knew exactly where Carnage and Venom.
it
And I
helps.
can't see the color red.
Yeah, it really helps. Like Andy Serkis as a dude, obviously, like he's been in the the effects department for his entire career. Like that's what he's based off of.
He
Like,
did the special effects for. I mean, he was doing the special effects shots for the Hobbit films. He was
Yeah.
the second unit for the Hobbit.
yeah. So like, and then he made Mowgli, which I haven't seen, but like his director credit is like he's been gaining it up. And like again, like this isn't high art, but it is extremely entertaining. And sometimes movies, again, just like Malignant, it's not as good as Malignant, but like sometimes movies can just be stupid fun. And with a character like Carnage, that's all Carnage is.
Mhm.
There is nothing There's no depth to Carnage. He is a crazy psychopath, and sometimes that's okay. You can just have a silly villain. Woody Harrelson rules in this movie, you guys.
I
I
love.
love
Yes,
him.
I
really
absolutely
like what he's doing.
I can't believe we're talking about Venom 2 and liking it. I'm so happy, you guys.
So I enjoy Tom Hardy. I thought he was pretty decent in this one.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I thought
God,
he was actually really good.
He's like story credit on this one, man.
Yeah, but with Woody Harrelson,
Let me be clear. I think I really like him as Eddie. I think he does an incredible job as Venom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he
Uh,
does the Venom voice too.
Incredible, because what sells me on the movie is Venom's running commentary.
Yeah.
Me too.
Some of
Me
my favorite jokes
too.
are Venom just saying shit.
There's a moment in the church where Venom just goes, "Get ready to die." All right, yeah. No, us. We're gonna die.
Yeah,
To like Tom Hardy's credit, there's a similar moment where like Venom's talking, but Eddie's like doing motions
Yeah.
like they're supposed to be, and it's like it's all working.
yeah, the scene at the end where Carter's like, "Come here," and he's like, hold on a second." Like,
I don't
good stuff.
I don't remember what the line is, but it I absolutely like just busted up because I wasn't prepared for it, and I wish I remembered it. But it's when Eddie's reading the postcard from Cletus,
Yeah.
and Venom says something just in the randomness of him reading that, and I was like, what? And I just was laughing.
I knew the humor was going to work for me in the trailer because I really liked the joke, and I still like it in the movie where he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Eddie. I don't know what came over me. Look, fix your nose. So I can break it again."
See, it's the thing about like out of context. I again, I still don't like those trailers, but like full context, when I'm in the movie, I know what the tone is from the start. It all cements in. It all fits.
I was nervous from the trailers that they were going to go like, well, it needs to be funny, stupid funny the whole time. That's what
This is
people
a
like. They
romance
don't
movie.
take it seriously.
They really made this a romance movie.
And I thought they were gonna like just ham it up in the worst way.
Mhm.
That's not what happened.
Yeah.
No, it really can be likened to a rom-com between Eddie Brock and Venom.
They went hard like on that
They
stuff.
really did, and the that stuff works so well because I mean Tom Hardy has good chemistry with himself.
Yes, because he's a great physical comedian.
I was stunned when I was like, wow, I'm feeling things with Eddie driving away on the motorcycle and wanting to run himself into the truck, and Venom's like, I'm sorry, Eddie, I can't heal emotional pain in the
Yeah.
heart. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
What happened?
Do I like this movie?
So Michelle Williams, like again, she doesn't have a lot to do. I think she's
So much better in this movie.
She now has like she knows what she's doing and she's allowed to just have fun and be silly. Like that
She
scene.
really didn't want to be there in that first movie.
Yeah,
and I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and like the scene with Mrs. Chen
Oh,
Venom.
oh my God.
Oh, that I
the
couldn't handle
second she
it.
goes, "Wait a minute," and it's like,
She's
"Oh,
like, "You're a big, strong daddy."
That was
and then Dan's in the back. What's going on?
Amazing.
Uh,
Amazing scene.
Yeah. I'm so glad that again, like Andy Serkis committed to like, yo, you guys, I know what movie I'm making, and like I hope you're along for the ride. And for the most part, people seem to be
I
happy about it.
honestly, after the movie, was second guessing myself as I drove over. I'm like, did I really like this
Yeah.
movie? And you're mentioning things. I'm like, oh my God, I
No, yeah.
really like this movie.
I think Carnage like is I don't really care about Carnage as a character because there's not a lot of depth to him, right? He's just a cool character like to fight. But in this movie, like the way that he's presented, like he is not the same type of symbiote that Eddie Brock is. Eddie Brock and Venom are separate, but because Carnage ate the blood, he's one with Carnage, right? So the way he transforms, it's so much, it's so different. And I wish he called him Daddy. I wish they just would have the 100%.
Because the joke of not you, father,
Him, father.
you, father.
Yeah, I love
is
that.
good,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
I absolutely love that
It's
when
so good.
Carnage goes, "Father," it's like, "What?" It's like, "Not you, him."
I really liked Carnage's design. I kind of do wish he was lankier because I like my Carnage is lanky.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But my only criticism with Carnage is honestly I wish he was in the movie more.
That I was surprised he wasn't.
We are introduced to him 30 minutes into the movie, and I think it should have been 15.
Yeah. For as short as the movie is, like I really like Woody Harrelson just like being able to like be weird the whole movie. Like I do wish there was more Carnage, but like it's not a detractor of the movie, but I'm like, oh, I like Carnage. So I hope again, because like in the comics, like this is exactly how he died in the comics. Like Venom eats him and then he just comes back later. So like he can come back. And I hope he does.
You already used the F-bomb.
I didn't swear.
No.
Oh,
I did.
Sparks. But the line, F this guy.
Oh yeah, that's
People have been talking about it as like one of the best uses of an F-bomb.
I
in the
didn't think they
PG-13
would
movie.
do it, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
Well, I kind of like how Woody Harrelson is just giving like his emotional performance. Like, "You were my friend." It's like, "I wanted your friendship," and he's like, "I'm sorry, Cleveland."
I was
And
telling
then-
you, Eddie, but you weren't listening. I'm listening now. I
Yeah,
just wanted your friendship. I'm sorry.
F this guy, knob.
God, Venom just kills the moment.
I'm just like, damn. You know what? I feel like the more I listen to you guys talk about it, the more I'm actually liking this movie. Because I'm not gonna lie, at first there were times where I'm kind of like, I don't know. Because you're right. Like if I knew what this movie was going into it, because I didn't know what this movie was going to be.
I felt so weird, like laughing in my little corner by myself, like at this movie when other people weren't. People who clearly liked it, because it got a standing ovation in my theater at the end. But I laughed harder than most people in that movie. I'm like, I can't believe this is where I am.
Yeah.
Going back to Michelle Williams, I wanted to highlight the thing that, like, I was like, man, she's really just like a whole other, like, honestly, for my money, like, I really hate Venom. I forgot how much I hate Venom. I didn't watch it again, but I listened to our review of it. I gave it a 2 out of 10. I really hated that movie. I will not forgive it, and I'm not going to watch it again. This doesn't improve it. But you can watch this one and never watch that one, and I think you're fine. And this one is really good.
Dude, if this were the first Venom movie, like, oh my God, like
it would be different.
I would feel so different.
Michelle Williams has this incredible moment where when she's like, I'm never doing that again. I don't know, maybe one time. It's really fun.
Yeah. I fell asleep in the first Venom movie, so I missed.
You finally saw She-Venom.
I missed She-Venom, and now I'm like, oh, that's what that looks like.
Yep.
Wow, like she brought it back.
I remember when we were talking about She-Venom, and you were like, "What do you mean She-Venom?"
Blocked it out. No, yeah,
dude,
I was asleep.
Yep, you fell asleep.
Shriek. Naomi Harris, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rules. Great schlock. Great. She just a bad guy. Like
she does ham
just
it up.
being a fun.
There's
bad
a
guy.
moment that she has that was really funny to me because I was the only one who laughed at it. And it was because I'm a 2-year-old. But it's when Cletus turns into Carnage the first time in front of Shriek, and she goes, "Hot!
That's hot!
That's so hot!"
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh dang, what's she into?"
Both of these two play psychopaths or play these type of people.
And so I turned to Zara because she's into the tentacle hentai.
I love the comedy of that sequence where he's killing the doctor and
and
a
like
background thing.
It's so good.
Like it's like I'm here, and then it's like he's at the cell. It's like what? But as I was saying, I love how both Woody Harrelson and what was her name, Naomi Harris. They play these type of people. They play these like crazy bombastic villains so
There
well.
are 3 actors from the Pirates franchise in this movie.
She was Teodoma.
Yep.
That's where I recognize her from.
The detective.
The detective is in the 2 recent ones.
The 2 recent ones.
Yeah.
Who's the third?
He's a doctor who gets killed. He plays the main bad guy, like the evil British guy in the 3rd one. He slowly walks into his death. He's like a small cameo. He's not in it at all.
Weird.
But yeah, there's like 3 dudes. I'm like, oh, Pirates reunion.
Yeah, I because you brought it up, like I do have like some negative.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred the movie without Shriek, to be honest. And I've thought about it. And I'm like, I really like Naomi Harris in it. I like the idea of it. My problem is that, like, if Cletus, Cassidy, and Carnage, they are a caricature of absolute serial killer. Like they are a caricature of like the most personality you can give to have some dialogue to what is essentially Michael Myers in the Marvel universe. And that's fine with me, and I think that could be enough, like Woody Harrelson being weird, to work as an opposing force of Venom. But if you're going to insert a thing that's supposed to make an emotional connection of that, then Cletus needs more to it, and neither part of that. While I think like they're talented actors who are playing the moment well, the movie's too short to allow her character to be fleshed out at all, or to allow that romance to actually stick, and it makes Cletus less connective tissue of that for me. So I'm like, I'm kind of living in a space where I'm like, either keep him a caricature of like an absolute bonkers, insane serial killer, which is what makes him so dangerous, or actually flesh out something.
So
here.
like,
and it lives in this space in between that sometimes works, but sometimes doesn't.
I'll agree with you.
I won't disagree with you, and I hate.
I think it's more a symptom of the fact that the film is too short to warrant Shriek's and Naomi Harris's inclusion, because she's doing a lot with very little.
I won't disagree with any of that. Like, I think you're right. I think the movie needs to be longer if you're going to do that whole subplot thing. I hate to be this guy, but like, that is like just they're directing, they're adapting a comic, and like that's literally like I posted panels today from Shriek and Carnage, like the same time, they meet the same exact way. So like they're just adapting the thing, and Shriek is a big part of that story. They could have cut her out, but like I like her being there because it is like a nice little foil, and it does add to, even though he is a serial killer, the little bit of emotion and empathy that he does have. But like I'm not going to disagree with you there.
Yeah, I still have a great time watching it. I just do think like, if I'm being critical of the film, like
Yeah.
that's where I think its Achilles heel is. I think it's in like not living in that space well enough.
Yeah.
It's sometimes there. It's not all the time this doesn't work. It's just sometimes this doesn't. Sometimes this isn't clicking.
I actually agree with you. I do think, like, I get that she's in the comic, but if you could, if the movie isn't hurt, or if you don't gain or lose anything by her inclusion in the movie, then having her in the comic is only interesting.
So
But
I
wanna
just don't
get into,
see-
I want to get into what I wanted to talk about with that is specifically is when she was doing her fight with Detective Mulligan. I found that significantly less interesting, surprisingly, to the Venom Carnage fight. I kept wanting them to cut back because when we cut to her, I was like, "Oh right, you're doing a thing."
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to see this thing though.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And it was nice for her to like, like, oh, I'm gonna get the comeuppance on the guy, but like that also, like, there's not enough there to really care. Yeah.
For me, like, what it came down to is I was kind of just living with it and being okay with it to the end of the film, because I was like, if Shriek Naomi Harris gets to do more with this at a later point in a sequel, great. But they kind of ring the death bell on that one, and I'm like, okay, so maybe not. Now, I know that doesn't mean that she's dead for sure.
Wait and see a body.
Right. But the implication, just looking at this film, is that killed her. And I'm kind of like, okay.
Doesn't a bell land on her?
Yeah, but the thing is,
that's why I said
the bell's hollow, and it can land right on top of her.
Yeah, but there's a centerpiece right in the middle of a bell that would have.
Oh, but
No,
they
they
take
take that out. Venom uses it as a weapon.
No, because this was the second
I
bell.
think there's only one bell.
No, there's
Oh,
only one
okay.
bell. Yeah. Listen, I'm just saying, like, we don't see her body.
We're talking about church architecture.
We're bringing Patrick Mulligan is Toxin in the comics. Like, there's a whole arc with both of them. Like, they're setting up stuff. Like, they purposely didn't show her body just in case they bring her back, I think.
I hope so, because I think that she's just not treated the best by this script.
I mean,
is my point.
No, that's fair. Shriek also in the comics is just a crazy mad woman too. So, like, what are you
Right.
gonna do?
It's more,
No, I get you.
Comic adaptation aside,
No,
like
I know.
it's more just a.
I just don't see how
what she can
like
be.
Cletus wants to get married to this lady, and like just the whole movie would be different.
Like, I don't want to keep on this topic for long, but like there are definitely arguments to be made that people have adapted certain elements in the comics better than they had been before. Again, that's the comic. We're not talking about the comic. We're talking about the movie. The movie, yes, has Shriek because she's in the comic, but that's the only reason why she's in there. They don't give her more, then I don't see the point, because if you don't lose anything by taking her out of this movie, but we shouldn't.
No, I know, and I just personally, I don't see how you take her out of the movie and the movie stay the same. But that's me. What else do we got? Do you guys like the detective? I thought he was fine for the most part. Like, I thought it was Donnie Wahlberg.
I liked him sometimes.
I
like him sometimes.
He's just like,
I liked him better when I found out he was the cop in the beginning.
Oh, I knew that from the second I met him.
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, they like hard focus
It's very-
on his
yeah.
name tag to say Mulligan.
No, I know. I
in
just
the
didn't care.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's yeah. I thought again, like, it's kind of in a similar vein as what I was saying before with the Sheik and Carnage stuff, which is just like sometimes he really worked and sometimes he didn't, and it's really strange where that balance was. Ultimately, like, he kind of feel I wish there was more something to his interaction with Shriek in the end of the film, but he's just kind of a passive participant.
I think
in that. So like, there's nothing making me want to engage with him more.
I think the problem
date.
that they did was like they did like the cliffhanger thing of like, oh, I'm going to become a symbiote, but like instead of having a nice resolution, they just made it a cliffhanger for the next movie. So it's like there's no real resolution between those characters,
right? And I mean,
up
like,
until that point, he looks like the only one of our heroes who's died.
Until his eyes turn blue.
Until his eyes turn
and
blue.
it's like it's weird. This is one of like the weaker points in the script in general, which is just like he has a history with her, but like it's not packed with a lot of meaning. It's just like, yeah, he took an eye and he took her eye and he lost some hearing, and I'm like, cool, but like he was just doing his job. Like, there's not a lot of personal vendetta, in a sense there or at least it's not there. In the
we have
the
one
script
scene
of like, for her it is, but for him it isn't.
We have one scene with him in his
it's
ear.
exactly
Yeah.
what it's exactly what you talked about with the idea that like, look, Andy Serkis is doing a lot with a very weak script. He is wringing out that script with the best stuff that he can. He made a really schlocky film where that script isn't.
And I bet Tom Hardy like having like helped the script. Like I bet like his like Tom Hardy schlock and Andy Serkis like saved this movie,
because the strongest stuff is definitely Eddie and Venom.
100%. Yeah,
I think,
and both individually and together.
So I think they're doing a lot with that script. Look, all the criticism that I've heard are from the script.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with how Andy Serkis directed this, in my opinion.
No,
No,
I
I wonder, like, without Tom Hardy's like, hey, can I help write this thing? Because like I feel like I know this character better than you guys do.
Because
Like-
you got a story credit.
Yeah, like I can't imagine, like, if this were just another, like, if the first movie works when it's like the silly stuff that we didn't expect, and they like, okay, that's what
But that
works.
was few and far between.
That was
in
few and
that
far
one.
between, right?
Mhm.
They realized, okay, let's double down on that, and they did. And like, this isn't really the Venom from the comics,
No.
personality wise,
God,
but
no.
the thing they're doing here works. And I
It's-
am excited for the future
It's-
now that this is here.
It's tonally consistent where the first one wasn't.
Yes,
And it has a soul when the first one was soulless.
100%. Like,
we talked about it before. The first one felt like it was made by committee. It was completely made out of being driven by money, and the only person who gave a shit about it in it was Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now with this one, he got a creative team who gave a shit about it.
absolutely, yeah.
And he got everybody else that was in the movie to give a shit about it.
Yeah.
I just again, because listening to interviews and stuff, Woody Harrelson at first just wanted Andy Serkis to be Carnage, and Andy was like, "No, man, like you need to do
You
this.
need to
Like
do this,
you're
yeah,
Carnage." And then Woody's like, "Hell yeah, actually, I really enjoy doing it. I think it's better for it." I'm like, "Hell yeah, Andy."
Oh, I want to talk about my favorite scene, which is Carnage's escape. That scene rules.
Oh, you mean when he turns into a whirlwind?
When he turns into a whirlwind.
What?
When he turns into a tornado and pulls the doctor in. Like, I just think the moment he escaped, he like bursts out and starts killing people. The horror in that sequence is really well played out,
Mhm,
like a
mhm.
monster movie, and the like Terminator-esqueness of him walking through the cells.
Thank you so much for saying monster movie. I agree with you, everything you were saying. The opening of the film, the way they do the title, I'm like, this is so
Yeah.
old school
music?
B
I'm
monster
telling you,
movie.
we just watched
So
Malignant
good.
with the castle on the
No, I
hill.
know, and I was
It's
sitting there, and I'm like,
yeah.
that more than like the setup of like Shriek and Cletus, like put me in the, oh man, are we in for a really good time?
Mhm, mhm.
And we were.
Again, it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah,
I've seen worse movies that are way longer.
there are movies that are twice its length. That like, oh my god, like,
and I was entertained
Yeah.
like pretty much the entire time, which is really impressive. I honestly thought when they did the Eddie separating from Venom thing, I'm like, this is where it's gonna lose me. And nope, I was still solid with it.
And I was worried about how long that I was thinking about that when that happened. I was like, this movie isn't that long. Do we have time to do the subplot?
Mhm.
Yeah, we have plenty of time. It worked.
the rave scene.
because
I
you
love
did
it.
the essentials and you didn't like fill it.
Yeah.
The rave scene, I think, is really funny. I think it's great. It's like, it's really like, it's
Eddie was wrong.
yeah, like it's his coming out party in like a way, I guess. I thought it was really fun, and this like Venom again, like this is not the Venom that we've read recently. But like 90s Venom, Lethal Protector, baby, why not?
Oh, there is another weird, like, again, this is really a script problem, but there is another weird plot thing that kind of irked me when it goes by so fast, it's easy to kind of just forget it. But like, there's this whole thing about how like, because he finds Cletus's body, they're like making these news report. Literally, the news is talking about Eddie Brock and saying now he's back on top. And I'm like, does back on top mean he bought a new TV and that's the end of the story? Like, there's nothing else about his life that really changes. And I'm like, this isn't an avenue where we're going to talk about like Eddie Brock can finally get out that piece where he was like championing the homeless in the original.
Yeah.
Nope.
That feels like the 10 minutes that they cut from the movie are like, oh, like
Well, even
it just doesn't match.
well, even with like Venom is talking about it, I was like, I got my life back, and everything's going well for us. Like, is it? The chickens are still there, like,
Right,
the
yeah,
sensors
like,
are- is
nothing
it?
nothing. Yeah, that was just kind of a weird beat where it's like this was supposed to be a big deal, but like nobody gives a like, even in the context of the rest of the film, nobody gives a shit about Eddie Brock still. Like nobody gives a shit about what he's doing.
That reporter shows up like for 3 times on TV and it's like, Eddie's back, and then it's never brought up again.
Right, back on top, and like they put the like cool, he's on his motorcycle, like yeah he is at a moment, and then like,
It's like he
it
has
kind of amounts to nothing. Yeah.
It's like he has a newer motorcycle. It's like it's a better looking one, and it's like, yeah, look at me, I'm successful again. And it's like you just have one motorcycle, bud.
I wouldn't be
That's it.
shocked if there's like deleted scenes.
I love that they kind of created the pseudo Peter Parker story, but for him with Detective Mulligan.
Yeah.
Which is that because of how he founded the bodies, and like the detective now really hates him because he was on top of that information and didn't share it, and he's like, oh, what?
I really liked them. Venom's like, what are you doing? Doing your job. He's trying to like write down all
Oh, the
the
drawing
things.
scene, I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love how like you see like it's like Venom's like, Eddie, look, and then you see the drawings in Cletus' cell, and then it's like, hey, look, there's a spot. That's probably where the bodies are, and sure enough, there the bodies are.
What are you doing? Your job. Yeah, I
Stupid.
really like all that. When we get the interesting animation interpretation of Cletus's past. I thought that was
that
really
was-
cool
yeah.
coming
That
out
was
of the
dope.
postcard. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool, really unique. I'm like, man, this movie just like keeps throwing things at
Oh,
me
yeah, seeing
visually that I'm just crazy
Cletus's
about.
past and anime. Yeah.
His origin story as he hits the spider. That was
His
cute.
Origin
Yeah,
crushed me.
yeah.
Like I don't know if that's just how he says it, how Woody Harrelson
I don't give a
says
shit.
it, but like that there took me back to
There was a
symbiote.
There was some kind of spider bit in the first one too, but I like that they hit it even more on the nose
When
in
he
this one.
went like the symbiote, the symbiotes of the first film trailer, the origin. My God, origin.
Yeah.
It's not. It's origin.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, I'm floored, honestly, with
Yeah.
how much I enjoyed it.
I wish the script was better because this movie would have
Yeah.
ruled.
Yeah.
But for that being said, like I'm surprisingly very funny, brisk. That Mrs. Chen moment is incredible. Like Mrs. Good on that actor.
The spooky eyes, yeah.
I love their relationship with her as well. I think that works really well.
No, you cannot
Um,
eat Mrs. Chen.
I
Eddie's-
learned
Eddie-
something.
Tom Hardy's got some incredible moments as Eddie where he's just like talking to himself and the way he plays it off, and he's like, "You suck." What? I don't know how to explain that one.
Yeah, that
I'm
one-
having a panic attack.
That one really got me.
that
yeah.
was really.
That was really good. It's
Or
like,
the when he's talking to the guys. What are you doing? He's practicing for a play. You
everything,
suck. You suck.
everything that didn't work about those interactions in the first one really work in this one, and
Yeah.
it's really incredible how like just absolutely a 180 on it is.
It helps. Yeah. Like, man, it's like it's weird. Like again, like Tom Hardy, like not my first pick for Venom, but like now that we're here and like he seems to really like it.
He is connected to the character, and like I do not think there is enough evidence to support that actors who play characters should always write their characters.
Oh yeah.
But he has taken to this role similar to Ryan Reynolds took to Deadpool.
Again, like as you brought up, like this is not Venom from the comics, but they have found a way to make Venom their own.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't mind it being different as long as it is something of a clear vision and if it's working. And this is working and of
different
a clear
character.
vision, which is not the first movie.
And he's still doing the Lethal Protector thing. Like even though
Love
it's
it.
even
I
though
think
it's
it's really
even
cute.
though it's like sillier than the
The
comics.
chocolate thing is also from the comics because there was a while
my-
they wouldn't let Venom eat people, so he ate chocolate.
Another bit like early on in the film that like made me go, oh, I'm gonna like this is when he's jumping around as Venom, but then they're getting the phone call from
Aaron's
and so he gets locked onto the roof and he's
hanging in there.
Um,
Oh god.
when he goes to the meetup with her and Venom gets really mad, like just the way Venom's being inside of
I'm gonna
him.
make you cry.
I'm gonna make you cry, Eddie. She'll love it.
She'll love
Eddie, I'm gonna make you cry. And Tom Hardy's doing a really good job of like internalizing Tom Hardy because he plays Venom is able to like know what that voice is and engage with all those things. He's
Yeah.
doing so much good acting in the moments when Venom's supposed to be speaking. And it
Yes.
really, really works. It sells the whole thing.
Yes.
I can't praise that enough. I think he really brought it in this one in a way that I don't think it was there in the first one.
100%.
Shall I rate?
No, we got to talk about the finale.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to think of like there's something in the third act that like I feel like I wanted to touch on, but I can't place it.
Not you, father. You, father.
Again,
Yeah.
I think the action's like it's still just like two goo people fighting each other, but like it's
so much clearer.
It's so much clearer.
It's the genius of how they use the bell to constantly have them turn out of Venom and Carnage back into
Oh,
the
I
two,
love
so they have a
that.
conversation and then they're turning back in, but then the bell
Yes.
rings again, so they have to separate and keep the conversation going. It was such an organic way to have them still be able to have those confrontational moments of conversation, but not feel like you're breaking up the fight.
It's definitely felt old school superhero film in
It
that
did,
sense.
but in a good way.
That's why I mean, like again, like the first one's a bad old superhero movie. This one's a good old school superhero movie.
There's a lot of times in the old school superhero films that they would like punch, 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 talk, 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 punch, punch, punch.
That's why
And,
I
like-
called Venom a 2004 film at the beginning.
And
Yeah.
like and sometimes that worked well, sometimes that didn't. And,
Yeah.
and this situation was really but there was a value to that because you got emotional moments out of fight sequences, especially when characters needed to take off masks and whatnot. That was a very organic way to do that in this movie that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I will praise the script. Like any other version of this movie usually would leave Dan the moment he made the call and said they're going to Grace Cathedral. Dan still shows up.
Oh my god,
Lights
like
Carnage on fire,
Yes.
fire and sound without the sound. Like
I was
Dan still being a player and
Mhm.
like playing with the relationships there and like getting at the end like Venom being like, Dan, you take care too. I don't think we really needed him. He was kind of more of a hindrance, if I'm being honest. Like Dan being still a player
supply a net positive.
was such a good choice that made the film still feel alive.
I was actually scared that Dan was gonna die.
Me too.
I
so did
wasn't
I.
worried about Anne. But I was worried about Dan.
I was also scared that like once Dan was there and he's pouring the thing and lighting up fires, like fire and sound. I was like, oh, please tell me he's not gonna
because
die.
what was interesting is that Screech looks at him like, oh no, my baby's being killed, and whatever, and she looks like she's gonna go after Dan, and that's gonna be like Dan's fight now that she's done with Mulligan. But then she just goes back to Mulligan.
Yeah.
She's like, oops, guess that worked out.
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Loved it. Like there was so much good there. Just impressive.
Okay.
Real quick, the fact that it's 90 minutes, like I'm not gonna see this again in theaters, but like
You know what, I might.
I'm
gonna own this.
definitely.
I'll be honest with
watch
you. Like
this.
I enjoyed this enough. This will be on my
I will
shelf. The
definitely
first
be,
one
yeah.
never will be. It's not worth going back for.
No.
I don't need it to enjoy this one.
Yeah.
But this one was a good time, and
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. I love the context of how it ends at the beach.
Now that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
guys,
Loving
now
someone
now
means
that
accepting all their faults.
yeah, now that we're here and like Venom's in the MCU
Well,
in some
Temporarily.
in some capacity.
well,
Listen, I'm not going into speculation. I'm just like,
He's
hey,
making a pit stop.
Spider-Man and Venom are going to meet. Now that we're here, if this were Venom 1, I would be freaking out. But now that we're at Venom 2, and like, oh shit, I'm
actually-
into this.
So so I had the post. We'll talk about the post credit scene now, I guess.
Yeah.
I had the post credit scene spoiled for me months ago. Yeah, months ago. That's over an exaggeration, but
Wow.
a while ago.
Okay.
And I brushed it off because I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
Because I just didn't believe it. And then when it happened, I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually kind of looking forward to this."
Yeah. All those Spider-Man 3 rumors are definitely true now.
I looked it up a while ago.
So did I.
Because
'Cause
I
didn't
just
care.
wanted to know and I didn't care, and I'm like, how much I wanted to know outside of reviews, how much do I need to give a shit about this movie?
Mhm.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, like I have to for a second put the post-credit scene aside, and I want to talk about Andy Serkis talking about it, which is very revealing of the fact that like they don't know. They don't know what this means or why they did it. They're just
it's
trying
the
to make
setup.
sure that the audience knows like Spider-Man's on the table eventually.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily going to be soon.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily No Way Home.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily Venom 3. And I'm like, that's what kind of gets to me is that I'm like,
There's no plan.
there's nothing there. So I kind of did think, I'll be honest, because we've talked about the No Way Home trailer. I didn't bring it up then. There's that shot where people think it's the lizard. I thought it might be Venom. I thought they were obscuring Venom from us, and I'm like, it's probably Venom, honestly.
It could be.
I guess that could still be true, but Andy Serkis has talked about it in such a way where I'm like, I'm kind of convinced that there isn't a plan because they were so herky-jerky about how they were going to try and hint at Tom
Yeah.
Holland. I'm kind of bothered that it's just bullshit for bullshit's purpose of saying this can still happen. Like, I didn't need that.
There is a sense, no matter what, look, whatever happens at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, I don't think Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are sticking around in the MCU. I think they're going back to their universes.
Sure.
I think similarly, the whatever Doctor Strange did to open up the universes for Spider-Man brought Venom to the MCU, and at the end of that movie, he's probably going back.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get rid of his supporting cast.
Well, and that's the thing is like, I don't think Venom's in No Way Home, so I don't know what this is for.
Yeah.
I think
Because
honestly,
I
yeah.
agree with you, Venom 3 will be in Venom's universe.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, eventually there will be a Spider-Man Venom thing somehow.
So it's weird
But
that
again-
Venom looked a
But
kid.
again, like I am more pro like, hey, Venom in the MCU. I'm cool with it because I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Yes. I still don't give a shit about him seeing Spider-Man though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they're not connected.
Yeah.
That don't mean dick.
Right, which is why it's so weird in this movie where it's like Venom kind of has a like a draw to Spider-Man somehow.
Yeah.
And that
And
was
well,
weird.
and
Like,
so
why
there's
does
an
he have
implication
that?
of them like having some kind of homogenous hive mind between the
They're
symbiotes,
talking
regardless
like
of
the
like
Quintar stuff. Yeah.
but it's also implied like regardless of a multiversal bond, like as somewhere in the recesses of his mind is like connection to other versions of himself. But then he's like, I'll show you a fraction of a second of a thing, and then
But then something else
but
happens.
then the thing that happens isn't the thing he's doing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why even have that line? That's so weird.
it's a setup for the next movie before we get up to set up for whatever the next crossover will be, I guess. It is, I agree. Like this was them. We're putting Thanos at the end of Avengers and
Yes,
whatever happens
yes,
next.
that's
yeah.
a great parallel where
Yeah.
it's like we have no idea.
It's
We just
just
want
the
you to know it's
setup.
there, right?
Yeah.
And
And like,
it's not going to be the thing addressed soon.
Well, it's
it
very.
won't be. Yeah.
It's also very similar to just like, you know, they were like, hey, remember Spider-Man's next, because the first Venom ends with, hey, remember Miles Morales is next.
Mhm.
So like Venom just seems to be the post credits for Venom just tease the next Spider-Man movie
Yeah.
every time.
Right. And it's so weird because it's like, I agree with Ryan. I think his analogy is spot on with the Thanos tease because it's like, we're probably not going to see the comeuppance of this for like 8 years.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, like that is
I will-
exaggeratory, but like
It won't
like,
be Doctor Strange. It won't be the next Spider-Man or Doctor Strange, but I do think Venom 3 in 2 years, 3 years.
You
will
think
be.
Venom 3 has Spider-Man in it?
Yeah.
I don't. I still don't think that. I think, especially again, like I will go back to Andy Serkis wants to do the third one. I can't imagine why they wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
He said that he thinks there needs to be a few Venom movies
Oh, I
before you do
agree.
the Spider-Man
Oh,
meetup. So I would not be surprised if we're still a little ways away behind
See,
that.
I trust
thing
Andy
happening.
Serkis wanting to take his time. I don't trust Sony and Amy Pascal to take their time. That's the thing. Yeah.
There is we're going to talk about it in the news because this is rumor that a lot of people are running with fact. There's a rumor rolling around that there is a new Spider-Man deal, which that's not a rumor. Like, obviously, there would be a new Spider-Man deal on the table.
There will be
for Sony. But the rumored terms that Sony wants is that there needs to be a second Spider-Man trilogy and set in the MCU, and that Venom needs to meet Spider-Man. So theoretically, if that was the case, then that deal's not signed yet, which means that Sparks is right. We were not seeing Venom meet Spider-Man for at least a little while.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah, I that's all. Like it's just. The only I don't mind all this happening again. Like I kind of don't care. And they're gonna have to do a lot of legwork to make me care. This is very much like the mentality that makes me nervous about No Way Home. Just a side tangent, which is that the connection of the villains to Peter Parker is irrelevant in the minds of like we just want to get these people in the movies from Sony's perspective. And I'm like, is that really okay? And that's kind of still the logic with Venom and Spider-Man because I'm like they have no history, and I feel like there is a way you could make it work. And it's unfortunate, honestly, that it's not going to be No Way Home.
Yeah.
Very likely that is
as
not
far
where
as we
Venom
know.
Very likely, let's just assume that's not how Venom comes after Spider-Man, because that at least would make some sense of conflict, because Venom's prerogative can be, we're the lethal protector now.
Yes.
He killed a guy.
That's 100% why.
But unfortunately, I don't think that's what the setup will be.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, because it is the opportunity.
Yeah, I think I can totally see Tom Hardy trolling us with that picture.
And I still have no idea what this means about frickin' Morbius out there.
Yeah, well, I don't know if
who
they
knows
know
where
what
that
Morbius
when or
knows.
where that is.
I forgot about Morbius.
I'm sure. Look, I'm not putting it out. I'm putting it out there that it's possible that the Morbius movie does not have the Vulture in it.
Right.
Like they just cut him out.
Not the director's last interview I read.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean they can cut something out with.
Yeah, more than anything, like it is. Again, like it's nice to have come to the end of the movie, and like when that post-credits tease happens, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like that's great. More multiverse stuff. This is now just as acceptable to me as like the Amazing Spider-Man stuff crossing over. Like great. The multiverse exists.
Yeah.
But it is very much like but like what does this mean? And I kind of wish you had an idea of what it means, but you don't. You just want us to.
Yeah.
That's just been Sony's.
You just want to get everybody wet
But
for
again,
it. And
just
I get
like-
it.
been Sony's MO for decades.
Yeah, but also like again, like with the thing with like Thanos and the Avengers, like I don't know the next time he's going to show up, but I know now that that's possible. And I am now in a world where again, 2 years ago, I would be like, I don't want to have this happen.
Sure.
We've talked about
Yeah.
it for years.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like they made me a believer in Venom. They could make me a believer of Spider-Man and Venom. Like, of course, you got to get there.
Sony, as I said, has been does this a lot when they don't have a plan, but they just want to do Spider-Man. And we talked about that when they couldn't do Spider-Man anymore on their own, so they were like, let's keep making money off Spider-Man, so let's do Venom, let's do Morbius.
The
let's do
one
Kraven.
thing I'm
So
truly
they just keep doing the shit.
the one thing I'm truly grateful for is that they've cemented that Venom doesn't exist in the MCU currently.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad that we can stop having that conversation where it's
Me
like this
too.
is an MCU movie, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Ant-Man's not there.
It's like it's a multiverse film, but it's not an MCU movie. It
Yeah.
is connected, but it's not connected.
Yeah.
Great.
like you said, Brandon, like Venom is taking a pit stop, and then he'll go back to the Spunk or the whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Spider-Man universe of Marvel characters.
Spunk.
Yeah.
No, they changed it. It's not that anymore. It's something different.
No, but there was Sony Pictures universes of No, it's Sony's universe of Spider-Man characters.
Is that what they
Subcut.
changed it to?
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed it. Anyway,
Sus-
we're all
sus-
I think we're all pleasantly surprised
Oh,
by
yeah.
Venom 2.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so happy that we're here because like again, like I never want to go into a movie knowing it's gonna be bad. Like I want to have a good
I
time.
loved you guys on pins and needles. Like, where is he going?
Why don't we rate it? Why don't I start with Sparks actually?
Solid 7 out of 10.
Cool. Ryan?
7.5 out of 10.
Ben?
Also 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Could even be convinced of 7.5. We'll see.
Honestly, on a second viewing, it might go up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Nobody is more surprised than me.
Why don't we get into our book club then?
Sounds good.
Oh yeah.
incredible comedic character.
Sparks. Spiro Book Club.
Yeah, hi. We're
Do the
talking,
thing.
We're talking about a French comic piece called Halloween Tales by OG. I am so sorry. I tried to figure out how to pronounce this, and I could not find an official pronunciation. I'm pretty sure because it's French, it's Bois Common.
There you go,
Bois Common. But and DP Filippi. And I really enjoy this in the sense of I think it's a really nice mood piece. I think that there is an amount. Okay, so behind the table basketball, I've had this for a while. I've considered doing it on previous Halloweens, and I've decided not to because I'm like, I know it's super kiddie, and it is. It's very child oriented. That's the target audience for it. But I think that I think the art is gorgeous. I just want to get that out of the way. I think the art is absolutely incredible. And I do fear, and I've read a little bit that like some things are probably lost in translation, especially in the first issue where it's all turned into rhyming. That it's just not the level that it is if you read it in French.
Sure.
Which I totally understand, but I still think like it's just a nice Halloween mood piece about like different versions of coming of age things. And I think it's really interestingly crafted. And I particularly am always floored by the third one and how it ends. But I'm really enamored with the art. I think it's a nice little short piece for us to
anthology.
discuss. Yeah, I wanted to share it with you guys because I like that there's different comic stuff in the world, and this is one of those.
I'll go first, Sparks. I really enjoyed this a lot.
Nice.
I when you say like you described it as like kitty, and like I my first thought wouldn't be that. I think it's like, but I guess it is. It's like it is young. It's for youth. Like it's written for youth. But like, I love that first story, dude. Like
I do too.
I like all of them. I think the second is my least favorite. But one, like it's just Etrigan the Demon being a good brother to his sister who misses him.
Right.
And it's like that first one really spoke to me because it's just like it's this person tackling all of their insecurities now that the person who they love most and helps them is gone, and like how do they deal with everything under the bus? They talk about everything, like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do this? What if I like this? And like he has a rhyme and a reason for everything, and it's like really, really sweet. I loved it. I had a great time with this, and you're right, the art is scrumptious. It's delightful.
Real quick, all of the art is by Bois Common. The story for the first two is also by him. The story for the third is by DP Filippi.
Nice.
Cool. So most of this is Oliver's work.
Good job.
Yeah.
Ben.
I also had a really good time with reading this book. I also want to echo what Ryan said. I don't see it as kiddie, but this is definitely a good mood setter because growing up into one of my favorite like aesthetics for Halloween is like, yes, I like the black, I like the darkness, but at the same time, I like the spooky stuff by, I guess what people are calling it now is the spoopy stuff, where it's like you have
it's almost like wholesome.
Yeah, it's wholesome scary, but it's not like when you go. It's like when you go into a Spirit Halloween story and then you get like the hardcore blood, like the gorish stuff, like that.
It's not malignant.
Yeah, it's not that. It's like this is fun. It's kind of like like Camp Snoopy's Halloween party or Mickey's Halloween party. It's stuff like that. That's like, yes, you got the aesthetic, you got the colors, but it's not intended to scare you. It's like, let's have fun doing it. That's how I read this book.
It's very thoughtful.
Yes, the art is
thoughtful. Halloween, not horror, but like atmosphere.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Halloween tree in a sense that
it
wasn't supposed
that's one
to,
of the reasons I love
like it wasn't supposed to scare you. It was just like, hey, here's like you're like you said, a tone piece. Like a shot every time we say that. My favorite story in this is the last one.
Yeah,
that's my favorite story. I thought that was the best one. I like the second one a lot. The first one I also enjoyed, but the second one I also highly enjoyed because I just love the color pieces and it reminded me a lot of Dracula, the original Dracula, the film Dracula. Because I just I like how it went from we get beautiful colors in the first one, and then the second one it's all black and white. I was like, this is like, and you get a kid with a bat, and it's like this is Dracula, even though it's not. And then of course the last one, I really like the concept of you write in this book, and whatever you write, it's real or it happens. And
it feels very similar to a to the old horror audio adventures, Sparks, that you used to listen to. The last one does.
Yeah. It is a lot like that for sure.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this. This was and like we said, it's a quick read, and it was fun. I highly had a good time with this.
Nice. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, I also enjoyed this one. I'm not as hot as it on you guys, but I did really enjoy the third issue. I thought that was a good one. I
will say real quick, I think the second one is the one that suffers actually the most
yeah.
from translation, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I bet, yeah.
The second one, honestly, in a relative term, was hard for me to get through.
Sure.
And relative to how quick and easy the others are, it's not a hard read. The second one I was hoping would be my favorite when I went into it, but it ended up being my least favorite.
Right. Yeah, I know the first one, like my understanding is that the brother's spirit is meant to be the brother's spirit is meant to be speaking in poetry, but not necessarily in rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
That translated out into rhyme.
Yeah.
For English.
Because English people are dumb.
Well, it's just like what they were doing in French poetry just wasn't crossing over properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure like you lose some of the effect of that one in a sense, but I do think the second one is the one that struggles the most with translation.
Yeah, I had honestly a couple of times had a hard time following the second one, but the first one I never had a problem.
Yeah, I think the rhyming still works. At least it works for me again, because like the story is just it's just really beautiful. And it's just like it's just this poor girl like on Halloween night, just like she doesn't want to be with anyone else because she's not feeling it because she's got a dead brother, and it's like he's always watching over her and it's gonna be okay. Just like instead of being negative, try to think positive. I love it.
Yeah.
She meets that bully and then he pulls his pants down.
What a weird way to bully someone.
Hey, pants.
It works.
Yeah, I think that overall it's pretty strong as just a Halloween story.
Yeah, when I
thing.
looked at it, I expected Trick or Treat. So when I was 3 pages in, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a sad one. It was gonna be like nice and nice, thoughtful stuff. I'm like, oh, this is not what I expected at all. And I was very pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because the book does like the story on the first one does kind of like addresses like death is seen as scary, but
It's part of life.
it's part of life. I mean, we talk about like when we say death, and there's so many different connotations to the word and to what it is. Like we picture death as like the Grim Reaper, the Scythe, or in Stepan Sedgwick's case, awesome person in Bernadette.
A babe.
Yeah, a babe.
I like that you think I wouldn't get that reference.
But when this one, I love it how it talks about that. It's like, I mean, it's a natural part of life, but it's okay for you to feel sad, but you have to go on living. Sure. I really like how like her brother's spirit is there. It's like, and she's like, oh, but what about this? Well, this, and it's like, yeah, you can feel sad. It's okay to feel sad when someone leaves, but just know I'm here. So as you guys know, I lost my grandmother, or one of my grandmothers, last year. And I unfortunately was not able to attend her funeral.
Right.
Because I had COVID. Yeah, both myself and my girlfriend had it. And that hurt because, and also it hurt because my grandmother, she was suffering from memory loss, dementia. It was really hard to talk to her. So one night, I had this. Sorry, I'm going into this little tangent because I resonated with the story, but I had a dream where I was in this, like, essentially I was in a bloodborne town.
Yarnum.
Yeah, I was essentially in a Yarnum. There was a bunch of monsters everywhere. I run inside this house and it looked a little bit like my grandmother's house. My pictures were on the wall, my brother's pictures, my family's pictures that were up in my grandmother's house. And then I see my grandmother, and of course I start breaking down. She gives me a hug, and essentially she's like, and I tell her, like, Grandma, what? She's like, I know, I love you too. And then I go outside and start kicking ass.
There you go.
So for reading the story about how she misses her brother, it kind of resonated with me with how I miss my grandma. And I had that dream where, even though I wasn't able to be there to celebrate her life and grieve properly because I was stuck at home and I wasn't able to talk to any family members because she passed away in April and I wasn't able to see any family members at all. It was like, damn, she really is watching over me. The ones you love are watching over you. So even though that part wasn't
only if they went to heaven, though.
Even though that story wasn't my necessarily my favorite, it was definitely one that I feel people should read. I mean, it might not, the poetry might not translate well, as we have said.
I didn't say it,
but it was definitely a one that got me in the feels. And it's like, yeah, death can be scary, but it's natural and it's okay to feel the things you're feeling.
Spooky.
Yeah. I think that's well said of like why I think that one's really strong, especially for like youth. Encountering that the way that it's articulated of moving forward but not forgetting kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just a really thoughtful piece overall. I do think like the first and third have great promise of like their representations of really relationship dynamics. For one, it's the relationship with those who have passed, but for another, it's a relationship with like trusted friend.
Not much else. Anyone else?
I'm glad you picked it. I liked it a lot.
Oh, thanks.
If I'm right, it's Ben next week.
It is. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, guys.
Well, it better be something spoops.
There might be monsters in it.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't really go in for the Halloween comics a lot of the time. So,
Not really, no.
Don't worry, I got plenty for you.
I've already picked mine, actually.
Oh, sweet.
I've picked 6.
Well, you're not going to get 6 book clubs this month.
If they're single issues, you bet your ass I am.
All right.
You will
So
find a way.
I did it last year. I'm going to do it again this year. Deal with it.
I thought you meant 6 like novels, like
I
graphic
did
novels.
reading Dune 6 times.
Oh no.
All right. Next week we're going to be talking about No Time to Die.
I don't know. We've talked a lot
Not
about
a,
James Bond. I'm kind of over it. to be
Not a
honest.
spooky movie.
Not a spooky movie. But a lot of movies coming out this month. So No Time to Die is next week. Finally, we've already talked about it last year.
You can check out our review.
See how right we are. Compare it to the real movie coming out next week.
Wow.
So yeah,
Finally. Here.
there you go. It's already out in other countries, so
I have the worst memory of what we said about that one.
yeah.
Yeah,
I bet he
I
has-
vaguely remember like the high points of what we said about all the others.
Mhm.
No clue what we said about No Time to Die.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to good Craig Bond film again.
I can wait. 7 days exactly.
All right, guys, that'll do it for the show. So thank you so much. You can check out some of the other things that we do. We do a couple of other shows. My audio show, Conversation, is coming to an end. There is an episode of Travis Alexander for the Kaiju Weekly podcast that's up right now. And of course, you can find the Michael Hamilton episode coming this coming week. And that'll be the last episode of this season. Hopefully, I will get back on there soon. And you can check out some of the other shows on this channel if you like this video and you subscribe. Marty's still here. After all this time. Marty says, bye. It was fun. Marty was Mag this week.
Thank you.
You can check out our Fake Nerds Watch series, which is on this channel. If you like this video, subscribe. Check out, we do Star Trek Lower Decks, which I'm doing with Just a Little Podcast, Cookie, and downright nerdy Michael Carls. And of course, you can check out What If, which we do all together. New episode coming soon. Most of those latest episodes are in the description below, so check this out.
We'll be putting out a video soon of the finale for What If, talking about the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Also, tomorrow, if you're around, go ahead and watch Ryan, I assume, on Down Ryanoid.
Oh, I was going to bring it up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got a Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yep.
I know. I was just like, yeah.
I honestly forgot that this was the movie. And I'm like, I got to watch that tonight. Oh, God.
That link is not below because he hasn't done it yet.
It's tomorrow.
So stay tuned for that. Of course, check out Basement Arcade, which is back with an episode of Crawl. Spooktober, where you guys play some spooky games to get Ben scared.
Spooktober's in full effect.
Yeah.
There you go. But the first game is not spoopy. It's Crawl.
It's got spooky vibes.
It does have
That's spooky
spooky
Got
vibes.
monsters.
And of course, Basement Arcade pause menu. You just recorded a new episode, so that's
Yep.
coming soon.
Yep.
You can check out Fake Nerd Book Club, and you can check out Animation Station. There's a new episode of that. The latest episode of that is on this channel. Subscribe, like, we love you. You can check out some masks. We still got the Crafted by Z masks of our logo on them. You can check those out. Those
Still in a pandemic.
those are linked below, and you can check out our Patreon. The shirts are coming. So sorry. We're going to relaunch in January with the Don't Be a Dick shirt again. Just to update you guys on what's happening with the Patreon.
Nice.
So stay tuned for that. The $10 tier will temporarily go away while I secure new ways to print these shirts. So there you go. But if you want some shirts, check out our TeePublic.
Mhm.
You can check out our TeePublic. That's linked below, and you can check out some of the other cool shirts we have there. I'd rather be a fake nerd than a true fan. One of my favorites. There's Don't Be a Dick.
Yeah.
we have a general don't be a dick. We've got 8-bit. We got our logos. We've got
General, don't be a dick.
Yeah, I heard it.
Is he the son of Admiral? Don't be a dick.
yes.
Sorry.
That's linked below. You can find them all on our website at fakenerdpodcast.com. Also linked below. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. Thank you to everyone who watched the live show. Marty, go to bed.
Yeah.
It's your kids, Marty. They're great.
Actually, it's not that late. No, to do something. Still do something later. Anyway, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate all your support, and thank you to Jimmy Vellucci for who does our theme music. Does all of our theme musics. Now I can actually say that with certainty because Basement Arcade, spooky Basement Arcade now has a new theme.
Yep.
New music done by
Wow.
our very own Jeremy Vellucci.
Spooky, scary.
You can check
Yes.
him out at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards, and of course you can check out his podcast Suburban Proctologist on iTunes, Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProc Podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you to Mike Matola for our logos. He did 3 logos for us, and thank you for just all of his support. He's a really cool guy. We love him. You can find him at Mike Matola.
I want to know his thoughts on Shang-Chi. Did we talk about him with that? Or was that after?
I don't think we talked about that.
Okay, I want to know how much he hated that movie.
You're right. All right. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally. Oh, shoot. I made a conversation Twitter account. I forgot to bring that up.
Oh, yeah, you totally did.
Follow that. You can check out
the show's ended.
our BT McClure. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me dreading playing these scary games at BedMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter. And also, you can find me writing for OldSchoolGamerMagazine.com. Normally, I'd be like, "Hey, new article is up," but I didn't have time to write because normally when I write these articles, it's the day before we record, and if we decide to record a day early, so most likely new things coming out tomorrow. What's about? Just have to wait and find out.
Ryan?
You can find me enabling Ben being scared at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
Sparks?
You can find me genuinely stunned at all times that I enjoyed Venom Let There Be Carnage at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter.
Venom 2!
KZ Witty.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcast, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. Until next time, guys, stay fake nerds.
Something wicked this way comes.